My wife overreacts to our daughter's minor injuries, causing strain in our parenting and increasing tension within the family. My 28F wife, 26F Sophia takes every scratch our daughters, 7 and 5, get extremely seriously. Every bruise, every scraped knee, every cut is an emergency to her. And because they're emergencies to her, they become emergencies to the girls. Not only does this mean it's hard to tell when an injury is actually dangerous, did she twist her ankle, or break it? Is her arm bruised, or fractured? But the kids are responding badly to any hurt they feel now. At the mere sight of blood, the 7 starts wailing like she's been stabbed. Even worse, her sister has started intentionally banging her arm into things or falling on concrete if she thinks she's not getting enough attention. Last week my wife took the oldest one to urgent care because she got a canker sore, and Sophia was convinced it was something more sinister. While she was gone, I had the younger one, who was upset that Sophia had spent so long on her sister and had now taken her to the doctor to get special attention. So she threw herself on the tile floor in front of me and started screaming and holding the wrist she hadn't actually twisted. I'm so tired of all of this, I just let her scream. When I didn't give her the attention she wanted, her screaming in pain turned into sobbing because I wasn't cuddling her and kissing her better and promising her cookies and a late bedtime. I told her I'd be in the den with the cats when she felt like joining us. I felt like a bitch for letting her cry herself out, but she's never going to learn to walk off scooter falls or getting hit with dodgeballs at this rate, and she can't be rewarded for this kind of behavior. It's just not healthy. Eventually she ran out of tears and came to sit with us, and I let her have a watered down soda. Well, when Sophia got back with the older kid, who now had the same numbing gel we already had in the cabinet and $200 urgent care bill, our younger daughter told her what happened, and now she's furious at me for ignoring something that could have been serious. I told her she's the one making mountains out of molehills and feeding into the actual dangerous behavior. We've been fighting about it all week, and the kids have only been acting up more as a result. I'm so tired of this. Maybe my appendix will burst and I can spend a few nights in the hospital away from this insanity. Relevant comments. OP on if her wife had PPD when she got pregnant and gave birth. Did her wife have any medical trauma? OP. No and no. Both of them were adopted, and to the best of my knowledge, she's never had negative doctor experiences. If she had, it wouldn't make sense to keep dragging the girls in for scratch knees. She's absolutely setting them up for failure. She just refuses to see that. If someone here can convince her to see a therapist, or an ounce of reason related to this specific situation, then they're miracle workers. She's great in almost every other aspect. I love her, but the constant coddling and panicking is getting ridiculous. Did OP and her wife have infertility problems? OP, no. As far as I know, both of us were perfectly healthy reproductively speaking. All pregnancy is dangerous, and IVFs usually result in multiples. Increasing the risks or forcing termination of it doesn't take right. And they're ridiculously expensive. A lot of places aren't exactly trustworthy when it comes to ensuring the health of sperm donors, etc. There wasn't a chance in hell I was ever carrying children, so that was out. She never fought to carry them. When we decided we wanted kids and we were in a place that it was feasible, we looking for agencies and found our girls. OP on the relationship her wife has with their daughters, and if she's overprotective. OP, we've had long talks that always dissolve into arguments over the subject before. As I understand it, she really sees nothing wrong with what she's doing. She wants to make the girls feel like they'll be seen and taken care of, but she's going too far. She does spend time with them regularly. She has an office job and has them alone from 6 p.m. onwards on days when I work, Thursday, Friday, Saturday. And she doesn't work on weekends at all. But yes, the younger one has definitely learned that making it look like she's hurt herself, or actually hurting herself, however minor, is a surefire way of getting Madre's attention. Not sure I helped last week. I don't want her thinking mama doesn't care, but I just could not bring myself to reward her pretending to be hurt. That's an interesting idea. It might help the girls, although I don't see it changing Sophia's behavior much. Update. Wow, my first post got more popular than I was expecting. Not a full update, but a few people were curious, so I thought I'd throw this out there with some of this week's developments and some clarifications. This sub only allows 2 updates, so the next one, if I end up publishing it, probably won't be anytime soon. TLDR, my 28F wife, 26F, has been making our daughter's injuries worse by treating all of them like an emergency. This has led to the older one, 7, to genuinely believe that every injury could be fatal, and the younger one, 5, to realize that if she's hurt she gets special things like cookies, candy, extended bedtimes, movies, etc. And is the main source of conflict in our marriage. Clarifications. 1. This is not Munchausen by proxy. Y'all have got to lay off the Hulu docuseries and stop trying to diagnose strangers with serious and sinister medical issues based on one post written by their annoyed spouse. My wife does not hurt them. She is not poisoning them, or looking for drugs to feed them, or posting all over social media about how great she is and how lucky the girls are, etc., 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 or trying to scam people out of money or a Habitat for Humanity house. Sophia is not worrying for the attention of it. She is trying to ensure that they don't feel ignored and neglected, to the point that she takes everything that they say seriously, but she's gone too far and it is now backfiring. The few people who pointed out that the younger's behavior of faking injuries or actually giving herself a bruise could develop into something more serious are correct, however, which is a concern that I also have. 2. Attention. The girls get attention. They get plenty of attention from both of us. They are not being neglected to the point that they need to injure themselves as a cry for help. For one thing, my older daughter doesn't do that. She is just genuinely convinced that bruises could be internal bleeding and any bump on the head could be a concussion. Which means that I'm going to have to give her the period talk pretty soon, or she's going to think she's dying if she starts early. For another thing, the younger one tends to only do it when she thinks her sister is getting something she wants, or we said no earlier in the day. They get attention, but they get special attention when they're sick or hurt. Someone in the comments last time, don't remember the name, suggested flipping it to discourage the younger girl's behavior, by essentially taking away fun things and forcing them to rest when they're sick or hurt. A few other people suggest pain charts of some variety, or first aid classes. Those might help with the older one and Sophia herself. That was probably the most viable advice I got, however well-meaning and true a lot of other stuff was. 3. Therapy right now is not an option. You can suggest it all you want, I can and have suggested all I want, but as of right now it will not be happening anytime soon. We had a bad experience with a highly regarded adoption specialist therapist a few years ago that resulted in our older daughter having more issues with her adoption than she did when we started, issues that we've had to figure out how to manage on our own because the 2 therapists we tried after that only compounded and exacerbated those new issues. My daughter would have been better off if she'd never been to therapy in the first place. As a result, my wife has lost almost all of her faith in mental health professionals. Quite frankly, I lost the majority of mine as well, and while I've made mention of it to Sophia, my bigger focus is on getting her to just change this one behavior. 4. Was my wife traumatized as a child by being medically neglected? To the best of my knowledge, no. She doesn't have any long-term health issues, and she was never very involved in any physical and potentially dangerous sports when we were in school. Her family hasn't suffered from very many illnesses or accidents, even during COVID. So while I've driven myself to an emergency dentist before and broken my wrist without even knowing it, the only time she's ever been in a hospital was to pick her dad up from a colonoscopy. At least before she started taking our daughters in for benign bumps, bruises, and cuts. 5. No, my wife does not have anything postpartum. The actual update. After a couple of other comments brought up how my girls behave away from us, I decided to ask. My wife works a normal 9-5, while I work 3/12s from 6 p.m. to a.m. on Thursday, Friday, and Saturday. During the winter they have school and daycare respectively. This winter the younger one will be in kindergarten though, and during the summer they both go to daycare from about 8 a.m. to 4 p.m. on my workdays, and just in the mornings on other days as needed. I do drop-offs and pickups. When I picked them up on Monday, I decided to ask one of the caretakers how the girls had been behaving. She told me they were fine. They bickered sometimes, but there was nothing unusual going on. I asked what happens when they get hurt or feel sick during the day, how they handle it, etc. I didn't tell them about my wife. I didn't want to be telling tales out of, or at, school. I think she might have thought I was looking for help, which I was technically, because she told me that as soon as a kid falls down, or takes a ball to the face or anything else, they start the whole interaction by telling them you're okay, and assessing the damage calmly as they approach. Even if the kid is bleeding, they don't react. They say something like, "Wow, that looked kind of scary. I bet it surprised you. Let's see your arm/leg/whatever." She basically wrote me a script. I asked her how my girls reacted to it, and she told me that the older one was a little more sensitive than her peers. She cried easily, and they had to be extra firm with the "you're okays" with her. The younger one she saw a little less. She's in a different age bracket. She only just turned 5, so she's still technically in the pre-K group. But she'd never heard anything about her. I asked what exactly they do if a kid is bleeding or bruised. For bruises, they can sit with a little ice pack for 15 minutes before they need to come back to the ground, unless it's actually serious. And for cuts, they get it washed and a band-aid. So nothing exciting as far as I could tell. The fact that we haven't been called into the school to pick up our totally terribly injured 5-year-old before tells me that she knows she won't get Madre's special treatment at the school. And since I will be the one picking her up if they think she's too sick or something, there's really no point in kicking up too much of a fuss unless she just wants to hold something cold for a few minutes. Neither of the girls have been hurt or sick this week. We stopped arguing, because I frankly do not have the energy to do so constantly. I'll look into the pain chart and first aid classes and bring up boring damage mitigation soon, once we've both had time to calm down. Additional information from OP, I'm going to put this here, since apparently it needs to be said. I am aware that saying it's okay or you're okay the way the daycare workers do is a good idea. This is what I have been trying to implement for a long time. Even if a child is genuinely hurt, adults need to remain calm to keep the child calm. If an adult is upset, then the already upset kid will become more upset, and if that kid isn't upset, then they will be when they see their parents freaking out. I am not looking for excitement. I genuinely have no idea how you read my post and got that impression. None. If I'm playing checkers, you've started a game of chess. I am trying to end the excitement. When I said nothing exciting in my post, it was not because I don't want to implement something boring, it's because I do. I very much want my kids being hurt to stop being exciting or rewarding. That is the entire point of everything here. Of a week of arguing, of every other argument before this one. There was no one working up my older daughter. The younger one wasn't getting rewarded. If anything, being hurt at daycare got her essentially a timeout with an ice pack, or rubbing alcohol and a pat on the back. That is a good thing. That is what I want. OP on communicating with her wife about their daughters on how to react if they got hurt. OP, I've talked with her a lot about it. It used to start when she was already working up because one of the girls was hurt or something, and I'd try to calm her down and help the girls calm down. She'd be so keyed up that it would turn into a fight fast. So after a while I stopped trying to interfere at the time, because us arguing while one girl and inevitably the other cried wasn't exactly helpful. After that I started waiting until after all of the excitement of the emergency had passed by to bring it up. Especially when the younger girl started intentionally falling or bumping into things. I'd try to tell her that making a huge deal out of every scrape was just making things worse and the girls needed to figure out how to self-regulate and tell if they were actually hurt or not. She would accuse me of being callous and tell me she wasn't going to make our daughters feel helpless, hurt and abandoned. And no matter how hard either of us tried is dissolved into another argument. My fiance's best friend ruined my life. How we stood up for each other and cut off the toxic relationship. My fiance has the biggest heart, would literally give you the shirt, pants and hat off his body if you asked for it. He's a recovering people pleaser, and I get it because I also used to be a people pleaser. We've been together for 5+ years. A few months ago, I started picking up on his best friend making some not so nice comments towards me. I'm trying to be vague, but let's just say this friend is the type to read who in the room would be most affected by being picked on, and then he picks and picks and picks on them until they can't take it anymore. Nobody ever really holds him accountable for this, and unfortunately I have somehow become his favorite target. I tried to put up with these comments, but it started getting really elaborate. The friend would make up lies about me saying things I never said. He once called me in front of all our friends, my fiance included, just to yell "you're a bad friend" into the phone and then hang up. There's so much to it that I can't share because I'm trying to be somewhat anonymous. It started having an effect on me and my mental health, and I ended up having a full breakdown where I told my fiance how much this was all starting to hurt me. The first time I broke down over this, he said he would talk to his friend about teasing/messing with me less. He then told me his friend was sorry and that he'd be keeping an ear out for any other comments and he'd jump to my defense if it happened again. A few weeks later I had a second breakdown over all this. The situation itself is hitting a very specific childhood trauma trigger for me, and he admitted that his friend didn't actually apologize. He actually said he was sorry I was too sensitive to understand his humor. At that point I told my fiance my friendship with this person is over and I want zero contact from here on out, even if it means I have to miss out on events and parties that I'd otherwise love to go to. He agreed with me that all of this is being done with the intention to get a rise out of me, and that even if we tried to get through to this friend he's so diabolical that we could never fully trust him to not treat me at least a little bit shitty. My fiance kept asking if this meant he had to quit the project they're working on. I told him I would never tell him he had to because I know how much it means to him, but in all honesty, the fact that this person is treating me so poorly that I'm having physical stress reactions isn't enough for him to want to cut this person off does hurt a lot. The fact that it isn't a deal breaker for him is probably always going to sting a little. He's not confrontational at all, and I always knew that, but it's not about confrontation. It's about standing in my corner. And I can't spend the rest of my life with someone who isn't in my corner. This friend is getting married to my best friend in a few months and we're both supposed to be in the wedding, but I really have no clue how. I get a literal knot in my stomach anytime his name is even mentioned now. I have seen this friend one time since all of this came to a head and he was so over the top nice to me that it came off as cocky. I had the second breakdown a few days afterwards because I realized I'm possibly going to spend the rest of my life on edge and on guard anytime this person is even somewhat in my vicinity, even if they aren't actively fucking with me. I don't know how to come to terms with the fact that my fiance was willing to lie to me on his shitty friend's behalf, but he's not willing to stand in my corner against him. I think it'll always hurt. This guy was supposed to be the best man in our wedding, and as a result we haven't been talking much about wedding plans. I think if he's still planning on this friend being in our wedding I may have to call it off for my own sanity, and that sucks so bad. This is fucking eating me alive. I love my fiance so much. I love his big heart and the way he loves all of it. But he loves some truly wretched people and I don't know if he'll enforce any boundaries with those people before the lack of boundaries becomes too much for me to handle. I'm just hurt. And hurting. And I just want whatever outcome to play out so I can stop feeling so guilty and awful all the time. Relevant comments. Has OP's fiance defended her in any way? Not necessarily. He's non-confrontational but he knows the behavior isn't sustainable. He agrees with me that this friend is awful with the intention of being awful. They have a project they've been a part of together for over a decade and it means the universe to him and that's the biggest factor in all of this. He'd more than likely have to give that up. This entire situation is dog shit and there are zero winners, except for the asshole. What does her best friend say about this behavior? I have my own feelings towards what she's going through. I think she's being love-bombed and gaslit, and I've seen some proof of it with my own eyes. She was there for the bad friend comment and kind of defended him. I know she's so love-struck that she's probably going to choose him and it kills me, but I'm trying really hard to step back in a way that doesn't totally burn my bridge with her in the end. When he gets that ring on her finger, I have a feeling he will be a different man to her and she'll need support. I'll be there when she needs me. When told she should walk away. Don't think I'm ready to make my peace with this comment quite yet, but I hear it and I'm trying. Right before I met my fiancé, I had just cut out a vast majority of people, including one of my closest friends and a blood relative, for making me feel the same shitty small way my fiancé's friend makes me feel. It's so much harder to burn those rotten bridges when they're not yours to burn. That's a lot easier to say when you have no stakes in this, my guy. I'm in love with my partner, and I know that this is eating him up just as much as it is me. Trust me when I say he holds himself accountable for his role in this, and we've had many in-depth conversations about how his friend will forever be this way so long as everybody in his life enables him to be. It's hard to cut someone off even when they deserve it. I'm trying to show my fiancé as much grace as I can because I know how hard it is to give up on someone you always hoped would grow out of their awful behavior. Asked if there's any unresolved conflicts. No, my friend and I haven't ever really had any conflict. Me and her were hanging at my place while our partners got ready to head to hers, and they ding-dong ditched us twice. I heard the door a third time and ignored it because I assumed it was them again, and then the asshole called me, speakerphone from my friend's phone, and told me it was a mutual friend that lived in the building and was looking for them for support. I tried to jokingly call them out for ding-dong ditching, but that was when he yelled, "You're a bad friend," into the phone and hung up. I was really embarrassingly distraught by this and expressed how it was affecting me, and my friend left an hour or two later after we sat in silence. I found out later from my fiancé that all our mutual friends, including him, were in the car and heard that conversation. And everyone felt tense, but nobody said anything to him. It wasn't a joke and wasn't taken as a joke by anyone involved, not just me. After the friend who was knocking on the door went to find them, the asshole called me just to make me feel bad for not opening the door. I could hear the friend that knocked saying, "Hey man, not a big deal, it's fine," real quiet in the background, but no one else spoke up. Trust me, I know these examples seem like they shouldn't be getting to me, but this guy is poking every spot he can on me until he finds one that gives him a reaction, and then he digs and digs. It's hard not to be hurt triggered when his literal intention is so hurt, trigger me. I know this isn't going to go on much longer. Update. Never thought I'd actually update this account out of sheer fucking embarrassment, but I wanted to share this for those who encouraged me to put myself first. I want you all to know my partner absolutely came through and protected me in this. We spent all this time since my last post up until last week communicating and trying to find a resolution, and walking through how it got this bad. He took a lot of accountability for that. This is not a case of me giving in. He understands fully that this has only got so bad because it's never been handled correctly, and he had a major hand in that. There were so many more layers to this than a Reddit post ever could have conveyed. The bottom line is we are closer than ever, and after a lot of talking, we decided on my partner sending a firm but not unkind message to his friend explaining the behaviors, explaining that they were hurting his partner, and that it needed to stop. He asked to write up the first draft and we could go over it together to try to perfect it. Reddit, please know the first draft my partner wrote was so spot on what I needed to read that it instantly shifted us into us versus the problem mode when we'd been stuck butting heads for weeks. He laid everything out so clearly and in ways that we hadn't discussed, so I know it came from him. We had to tone down a lot of the big emotions. We really truly gave the message its best shot to address the situation without being hostile. We knew the response would be bad no matter what, but I don't think anything could have fucking prepared us. This man went full scorched earth and blew up everything almost immediately. He insulted my partner. He told him these events didn't happen the way I claim they do. He demanded they meet up alone with a mediator. He even threatened to reach out to my partner's parents to fill them in, which is probably the moment we stopped taking his responses seriously. All of us are almost in our 30s. If once wasn't enough, he threatened it twice. We actually had to call them and warn them that he would be showing up at their place later this week and not to open the door. There's still a good chance he'll attempt it. We stayed respectful throughout all of this, which I feel good about. We didn't stoop to his level. We didn't insult anyone. We asked for basic human respect and somehow it blew up spectacularly. In the end, we both received a massive wall of text from my now ex-best friend, fully backing up her man and telling her side of the story, which is so insanely far off from what actually happened that all I can do is laugh. We've been shifting from crying to being dumbstruck to just straight up laughing because of the absurdity. I went into this thinking she was brainwashed, but it turns out I was wrong. They're a perfect match. I wish them all the best. I am sending them one last message setting the record straight, which my partner and I decided together was the best approach apart from just ghosting, before moving on from this entirely. I'm going to make it very clear this is done. Zero contact indefinitely and I will never look back. My partner and I both deserve way better friends and we both see that so clearly now. I am so fucking glad I learned my friend's true colors before we dropped $800 on a hotel for their wedding. Thank you to everyone who was kind. Not only did I put myself first in the end, but my partner did too. We're going to take this week in stride and process it all, grieve the friendships we once thought were forever, and at the end of the week we have a conveniently timed vacation to my partner's family cottage. I think we're gonna come out of this stronger, because we already feel it. Again, thank you to those who had something productive to say. And I've made my peace with all the rest. I guess if the guy does something else outlandish, maybe I'll update, but for now, this chapter is closed and I'm so ready for it to start collecting dust. Relevant comments. When told victims of abusers do a 180 in their behavior to explain why her best friend is acting the way she is and chose the ex-friend's side, I definitely went into this thinking exactly what you just laid out. But I refuse to set myself on fire to keep her warm, and the shit she said in her message about my partner is irredeemable. She can never be a part of our lives again after what was said, out of respect for me and my partner, even if any part of me wanted to hold out hope for her. I hope this is a wake-up call for her, but it won't be me on the other line. Appreciate you and your kind words, friend. This has been hell, but I think we're both just glad to have an outcome. I'll always have love for her, but it will be from a very large distance, and even if by some miracle we reconnect, we will never be as close as we once were without some intense conversations and a lot of growth, maybe not even then. I don't see that being the case for a very long time. I've made my peace with that. How is the fiancé handling the business with the ex-friend as well as he can? He stepped down. He is going to find another project eventually, I know it. This has been so impossibly hard on both of us, but I know it's hitting him a bit more than me right now, and I'm making sure to prioritize him and remind him he can feel that pain and mourn what was, and it's not an insult to me at all if that makes sense. I know what this meant to him. He did give it up. I'm so sad he had to, but I'm grateful to him for putting his foot down. He's going to be okay, just needs some time to grieve and process. I faced police calls due to a classmate's misunderstanding about my bruises. Now, she must change classes and face the consequences. I, 19, am in a nursing program. We do a lot of physical exams on each other to practice, which involves wearing shorts and tanks. It's important to mention that I am permanently blind in one eye. I'm constantly running into walls, doors, railings, plants, people, animals, everything. As you can guess, I'm covered in bruises 90% of the time, on my blind side. In the course one day we were talking about signs of abuse and the teacher said constant bruising. I raised my hand and added that it's important to talk to the patient if they're an adult, before calling the police, as it could be something else. She asked for an example, so I rolled up my sleeve and explained that the bruises were from door handles of the school, which were varying colors and heights. She nodded and agreed. She said that with children, we call the authorities the moment we suspect abuse. With adults, we first attempt to talk to them, and if their reason seems valid, we don't call. The lessons continued, and about a week later, the cops showed up at my door. They told me they had received a report that I was being physically abused and always covered in bruises. I explained my disability to them. They checked my home, talked to my family, and found no further signs of abuse. When I asked questions, they told me they got my address from the university because they take abuse seriously here. When they talked to the university about me, the university was very concerned and just wanted to help me. After the police left, I talked to some people at the university, including a psychologist, just so they could be sure I had no mental signs of abuse. Then life went on. Well, I was still coming in bruises every day, and one of my classmates came up to me. She told me our classmate Kay was telling people she was thinking about calling the police again because I'm still covered in bruises. I got my classmate's report written down, alongside a few others, and waited. Sure enough, police showed up again. Same song and dance, but this time I told the university that Kay was using the police to harass me and I wanted something done about it. The university decided the best course of action was to move her from my labs to the other ones so she couldn't see whether I was bruised or not. She's now told me I'm an asshole and that she was just trying to help me and I didn't need to mess up her whole university schedule. Relevant comments. Deleted user. She really didn't learn the lesson the class was taught, did she? A lesson she needs to understand if she's going to work in this job. If she'd done what the teacher taught, talked to the adult, then none of this would have happened. She brought this on herself. Comment 1. She was harassing you by carrying on calling the police. Once can definitely be out of concern, but after everything was checked out and you were safe, she decided to continue, so it's totally on her. OP, I was fine with the once, it's okay, people make mistakes, but after the second time I wanted to make sure it'd stop. Comment 2, I'm not blind in either eye and I'm also always bruised. My legs and sides always have a big purple knot somewhere. It's a daily occurrence. Multiple doctors have said it's not a medical issue. I just have terrible spatial awareness for where my body is. I run into door handles, my work desk, and counters. I get my clothes caught on stuff all the time. It's entirely my own lack of attention and clumsiness. Comment 3, Kay knew about your disability and literally learned in class about talking with the patient before reporting. Additionally, K could be a serious danger to her patients if she did this with a DV case. The abuser may escalate when confronted by police, which can create a dangerous and potentially deadly situation. Comment 4. K found out the consequences of 1. Not believing you, and 2. Not minding her own business. She needs to learn to rein that in, or she's not going to keep a job as a nurse with assumption-making skills like that. Comment 5. Genuine question. How do you get bruised almost every day? Do you have low sight in your other eye as well? Do you wear eyeglasses? I'm blind in one eye as well, by birth. I'm short-sighted, but I rarely get bruised running into things. I usually sprain my ankle due to not noticing unlevel ground, or hit my toe on the wall corners due to blind spots once or twice a year, but the peripheral vision and the angle at which I turn my head to keep my eye at center is more than enough to not bump into things so frequently. OP. I'm nearsighted in the other eye. Stuff on my left side is just impossible to see. Glasses get in the way of some of my peripheral vision. Keeping my head turned too long causes stiffness in my neck, and I have to be able to turn my head fast and quick. As I said, well, I get bruised a lot. It doesn't interfere with my job. It's something I've grown up with. And I bruise easily. I don't bump into anything at home, but in the outside world I do. Comment 6. I ask this as a nurse, and I mean no disrespect, but are you sure that nursing is the best field for you given that impairment? OP. Yes, I love helping people, and I'm fully capable of the job. I'm the only one who ever gets injured in my daily life, LOL. And it's typically because I'm not paying enough attention to my surroundings and don't notice something new and trip on it. Update 1. Okay, so, I'm blind in one eye. I run into random stuff if I'm not paying enough attention. I'm covered in various bruises. Showed this during class while talking about abuse and how we have to talk to adults before calling. Girl decided to call the cops on me twice, claiming I'm abused, resulting in me forced to go to counseling, talk to therapists, police, etc. until everyone was assured I wasn't abused. So anyways, it's been a bit since that post and I have big updates on her. I called her K in the other story, so let's stick with that. So anyways, I had previously gotten her removed from my labs. We still shared class, not lab. I figured everything was fine now and she'd leave me alone. But I was wrong. Not only was she spreading rumors that I was abused, but she called the cops again. Apparently more than once, as the other 2 times the cops said they had a report of abuse. This time they said reports. When I asked how many reports, they said that it was multiple people. So I don't know if others in class called or she had her family do so. I just don't know. They couldn't tell me who called due to privacy when it comes to reporting, to try and make sure abusers don't attack the reporters. Apparently my university had attempted to stop them when the cops spoke to them, but the cops had to check anyways. So they came after talking to the university anyways. And again we did the same song and dance. I told them I felt like someone was using the cops to harass me. And the cops took this. They said no one would show up again. And anyone that calls would now have their name taken down, and if they call after being told not to, they'd be charged with harassment. Well, that was about a week ago, and someone continued calling, tried to claim a different name, didn't realize they record phone numbers as well. So there's your update on K. She called again, and again, and again until it got her charged with harassment as well as misuse of police resources. Not certain what's gonna happen going forward or if I'll be called to testify. I'm not certain what's happening, but I haven't seen her since I was informed that she's still called, which I found out from another classmate. Relevant comments. Deleted user. What's the school doing about this? Is she getting expelled for harassing you? OP, seeing as she's probably ending up with a criminal charge, she will be expelled. Comment 1, you're not just protecting yourself. You're protecting the patients she might have had in the future. She's got big issues. Comment 2, this really pisses me off. My toddler has von Willebrand disease, so her blood doesn't work the way it should. She is so covered in bruises all the time that she looks like a Dalmatian. She also has paper-thin skin, so she has many cuts in a day. One day she even got the corner of her eye open from the corner of a pillow. Last summer we got a call from the CPS. Someone called them that we are beating our child and that they have seen it. This is not true. And if you really saw a parent beating their 1.5-year-old child, wouldn't you stop it when it was happening? Not called a week later. Best part was that we weren't even in the country when the beating took place. Someone was just mad because we have been renovating our house and the noise was too much for them. Pure harassment. Comment 3. I read your other post and was glad to find this update. While I agree Kay is definitely in the wrong and needs to have the consequences of her actions. Hopefully not being a nurse is one of them, since she seems unfit for it. I really came here because I was so upset about how people were saying you shouldn't be a nurse because you are blind in one eye. My brother is blind in one eye. Actually, he has had a prosthetic eye since he was a kid. He has been a nurse for more than 30 years. ER nurse, cardiac surgery nurse, trauma unit. He's done it all while having no sight on one side. People that say you can't be a nurse need to F off. They are narrow-minded AHs. Also, my brother rides a motorcycle and has done since he was a teen. Do what makes you happy and F all the rest of them. Good luck on your career. Update 2. I don't know exactly where to start with this post, but I kinda wanna give this update because I'm hoping it's the last one. So I made my last post only 12 days ago and shit kinda went down. Now, I need to explain that quite a bit of this is secondhand, because I luckily avoided the crazies. So basically, Kay does not know where I live, knows the general town, but nothing else. I did invite one girl in our class to my house to work on a project. She was the only person other than the university that knows where I live. Kay knows this, because her and girl who Emma call Lily, are kinda not related. Lily's cousin is married to Kay's cousin, so they knew each other prior to the program but not really well, and Lily is also the one that told me about Kay still calling even after the police promised me they would not show up again. Which they haven't, they just started taking down the numbers and keeping track of who called, when, and did they call after being told not to. So basically, Kay knew me and Lily were paired up for the project, knew Lily came to my house, did not know where the house was, or what it looked like, just that it was in a town X kilometers away from where they were. They also knew the town name via Lily's mom, so I got warned by Lily that Kay's mom was going to try to find me to get me to drop Kay's charges. I'm not the one charging her. The police are. I have not pressed any charges despite some people saying I should get a restraining order. Lily warned me, and I hid in my house and did not leave until Lily told me that Kay's mom had returned home. Kay's mom then proceeded to harass Lily in an attempt to get Lily to give Kay's mom my address so she could knock on my door instead of driving around aimlessly hoping to spot me. Lily refused, and deleted all text between me and her to ensure that even if Kay's mom stole her phone, and somehow got past the password, that she would never get my address. Lily then informed the university of the situation, and had proof via text, that the university had her print off and give to them, and the police. The university's security are now watching for Kay's mom's car, and Kay's mom. Security is informed that if and when I'm at school they are to escort me to and from my car. My car is also to be parked near cameras, by order of the university, until the situation dies down. Luckily I'm at clinicals and not anywhere near the university. Kay was kicked out before clinicals so has no idea which clinics the students are at, or which I'm at. Had she stayed in longer, she'd have a literal list posted to the class page, about where I'm at, and where in the building I'm at. Kay's family apparently was informed by the police that any attempts to contact me would be harassment, so says Lily. Can't guarantee, but yeah. I kinda don't know how to feel. The next time I have to go to the uni is for exams in like 3 weeks, so hopefully Kay's family doesn't hold on to this that long. Until then I'm safe in a building filled with security, locked doors, and places to run. The placement was also informed about this situation and with pictures from Lily, who's at a different placement, are watching for Kay's family and has banned them from the premise in advance. So yeah, if this goes no further I won't update anymore, but if it gets worse I guess I'll update after my exams and the Hisai. Wish me luck because I'm gonna try to not stress too much about the Kay situation and focus on my finals and Hisai, instead of that, but don't know how that go. Hope y'all are enjoying my mild suffering and it entertains you, even if only a bit, so that some good can come from this situation I can't believe I'm in right now. So, yeah, thanks again for the words of encouragement and kindness some of you showed me during this insanity. Wish Lily some luck as she's being bombarded by her family to give Kay's mom my address, phone number, etc., and doing her best to hold out on this while making sure her phone is never out of her sight on the off chance she leaves it open. Anyways, hopefully this is goodbye. If not, well, I'll see y'all in 3 weeks for another update. Relevant comments. Comment 1, I don't understand why there is so much drama from Kay and her family. Like what the heck is happening that they feel the need to harass you? Have you presented a restraining order? OP, hi, I still don't feel a restraining order necessary as they really only keep people willing to listen away. And that's not really the case here. I plan to just avoid it. The police and courts handle it and forget it ever happened. Comment 2, this is going too far. What's wrong with that woman? And has her whole family gone insane? Not only are they harassing you but they're putting your family in danger. She's basically accusing them of abuse. It could damage their reputation but also put their job on the line depending on their fields. It's good that they are providing you with security but it's still not enough. Lily won't possibly be able to warn you every time that woman goes out of her house. In case she eventually finds your house and comes to threaten you, you should probably get cameras for your door to record everything. When you say she was kicked out, do you mean the school? Because I really hope your university realized how unhinged Kay's behavior has been and how unfit she is to start a career in this field. Not only does she lack common sense but she's also acting in a deranged manner. Targeting someone like that is not acceptable, especially not under the fake pretense of trying to help. Had you really been a victim of abuse, you would have probably been even more traumatized by this situation. OP, hi, so yes my house has cameras already, and Kay has been removed from school due to pending charges and should they fully go through she will never come back. Her access to everything has been suspended and she's basically already expelled. They are just awaiting charges to go through before they actually push the expulsion through. DNA confirmed I have an 18-year-old daughter living in the US. I don't know where to start, how to tell my family, or how to meet her. And yeah, I feel just as you would imagine. But it gets worse. She lives in the US, I'm in Europe. I don't know how to do this and really need advice. So what happened is that months ago I got a call from a US number. Didn't answer since I don't know anyone there. Then again the same day, so I answered ready to yell at some scammer. A girl on the other side introduces herself and just says that she thinks I might be her father. That was the first thing she said. Hi, my name is Jane and I think you might be my father. Fake name. Obviously I told her I don't have any children and that she has the wrong number. But then she drops a name I haven't heard in, you guessed it, 18 years. Back around that time I was in the US for a year on a job exchange with our sister company. Met a woman there and we hooked up for maybe a few months. I remember buying condoms after meeting her, but I can't remember if we used them every time. Anyway, I gave her my non-US number but never heard from her again. The girl on the phone asks me if my name is OP and I freak and almost hang up on her. She tells me more about her mother and I just sit there like an idiot. She'd found my name and number in her mother's diary, and now as she turned 18 she wanted to contact me. She lives with her relatives now since her mother is unable to take care of herself for some reason. I still don't know the details there. She asked me if I'd be willing to do an ancestry DNA test and even offered to pay for it. She ends by saying I should think about it and ask if she can call me again. I just say sure and we hang up. I swear I was about to faint right there and then. The whole conversation lasted only like 5 minutes. I end up taking the test and we talk a few more times. The test took forever, but yesterday she sent me a screenshot of her profile matching 50% of mine. I mean, that's just it, right? We haven't spoken since, just messaged some. I lied and told her I've been busy and we'll talk later, which now makes me feel like an ass. Up until this point I've kept it together, holding on to the thought that I'm probably not the dad, but now I can't deny it. It's probably been half my life since I last cried. I haven't told anyone this. I was kinda hoping the DNA test would come back negative and then I wouldn't have to. How to even break this to my family? I just know they'll all want her number so they can call her and then they would start flying over to see her or bringing her here. They're really pushy like that. My mom is going to freak out. I don't see my family more than a few times a year, but we'll all get together during Easter. Should I do it then with all of them at once or one at a time? I have a picture of Jane, but not much more info than what I've written here. I'm the youngest sibling and now I suddenly have the oldest of the cousins in the next generation. And I never wanted kids at all. I just don't like them and hate being tied up. Even had a vasectomy since then. And that's the easy part. The real problem is what to say to Jane. Can some sane person give an example of what to say? I've promised to call her tomorrow. Has anyone discovered they have an unknown child? If so, what did you do? How did it go? How did you connect? What happened when you met for the first time? What did your family say? I'm a bit embarrassed by this, but is there any risk of me having to pay child support retroactively? I can probably afford it, but I don't really want to. TLDR. Got contacted by a young girl claiming to be my daughter, DNA later confirmed. Need help on how to proceed and what to say to her and my family. Edit. I apologize for the abomination of the text above. I blame the alcohol. Some seem to have the impression that I and/or my family are wealthy. This is not so. I wrote in a comment that knowing my family, they would probably rent a private jet and fly her here. That was a joke commenting on what they would want to do, not what they would do. No, I'm not wealthy either. In the post I wrote, I can probably afford it but I don't really want to. And I meant that I'd hate to suddenly have something like 10% of my savings left overnight, just guessing here, no idea what the actual sum would have been. I'm sure anyone here would consider that factor. Anyway, someone said the limit is 3 years back. I didn't know that. I can be an asshole sometimes, but I'm not some monster. The money question was a question, not the question. Yes, I have had my number for a long time. Never had a reason to change it. We had our first video call today, and it was a long conversation. I had a list of things to bring up, mostly from suggestions here, so I'm ever thankful for that. Most of it was quite personal for both of us, so I won't write it here. But it boils down to that we both want to continue to stay in touch and get to know each other. We also want to meet at some point, even if we don't know when yet. Her family knows of me and they will join a call in the future so I can speak to them as well. I will hold off on telling my family for a while, but I will probably tell them one at a time. Update. Hello all. A while back I made a post asking for advice. Back then I had just had it confirmed by DNA that I had a daughter I never knew about. I called her Jane in the other post, so I will be here too. Jane is the result of me hooking up with a woman while I was in the US working. It was really interesting to read about others' experiences in the comments and DMs. It's crazy what DNA tests have done in recent times. Some wrote that Jane is probably just a kid looking for her roots, and you were absolutely right. I've been getting a steady stream of DMs since my last post. Most have been nice, just asking for an update. Then there were the absolute nutcases who can't read and told me to drown myself. Hi to you too. Jane and I continued to talk after my last post. Mostly about her life, her mother, the family trees, etc. I never thought I would connect with her like I did. She's a very intelligent and mature young woman. My family knows now, and it went better than expected. Mom and sister still went a bit apeshit, but Dad knocked them out with a large club he always carries with him. To the nutcases, no, that last bit didn't actually happen. Funny thing, my brother-in-law actually distracted mom by reminding her that she has made sweaters for all the other grandkids, but now she's way behind on one. All of them understandably wanted to call her, but my daughter, yes, it's pretty cool to be able to say that. And I had already planned to have that call the following day. And it went really well. We made introductions, explained everything that had happened, and that we planned for me to meet her by myself before anything. And guess what? We did meet. I flew over for a 10-day stay since I'm on leave and she's working during the summer. That way we could hang out in the evenings and weekends and I could go full tourist during the day. It was surreal from the start. I landed at the very same airport I left from almost 2 decades ago and she was there to meet me together with her aunt. I can't describe with words what it was like to hug her for the first time. I'd seen her many times in video calls, but she was just so beautiful I started crying. I met so many people in the first couple of days I can't remember the names of half of them. I gave her the sweater from my mother, a hand-drawn family tree from my niece, and a gift I made myself, but I won't tell what that one was equal sign. While I, still, don't agree with the Georgia weather, I had a blast during the days just walking around town. I went to Jane's workplace almost every day and pretended to be a regular customer. We had lunch and dinners either alone, or with the rest of her mother's side of the family. All of them were so nice and welcoming to me. I visited their house every day, but chose to stay at a hotel since I didn't want to be a bother or impose myself too hard on Jane's life. Obviously Jane and I talked a lot. About anything and everything, but mostly about her upbringing and her mother. I mentioned in the previous post that her mother wasn't able to care for Jane. I didn't press that subject much at first, but it was unavoidable after a while. I won't get into all the details, but her mother is sick and has lost some cognitive functions. She recognizes Jane and some family members well enough, others not so much. We went to visit the facility where she lives and Jane introduced me by name, and not as her father. She sadly didn't recognize me, so I stayed in the background for the remainder of our stay. Seeing a woman not much older than myself in such a state was a somber experience. So yeah, that was me rambling a bit about what happened after my last post. There was obviously a lot more, but most of it is deeply personal and emotional and I won't go through it here. I'm back home and we are keeping communications open. I'm definitely gonna fly Jane over here at some point when life allows it, but other than that, we have no specific plans for the future. My mother moved away with her fiance, and left me feeling abandoned. She was a terrible mother. I tried posting this elsewhere, but I think it got caught in a spam filter and the mods haven't responded. I don't know if this is the right place to go either since I'm 16F. Like, I mostly live with my dad, but I spend a weekend every month with mom. They divorced 3 years ago. Mom moved in with my cousin and it was cool cause I went there all the time. Like a year and a half ago mom made me go there, introduced me to this girl and came out to me and said they were dating. She and her fiance are engaged now. She also said they were moving to Victoria in a week. So yeah, after a week she was gone. From where I am to her it's a drive, a ferry ride and then another drive. It takes a while to see her, that's why I can only go once a month. Since she left everything's been so sucky between us. Now it's like a good morning message and FT good night for 5 minutes. And everything else that changed with her just dipping like that sucks too. I don't even like visiting her, cause it's like I don't belong with her and her fiance, but I went cause I thought that she wanted to see me and I miss her a lot every day. This weekend I was in Victoria and she was FT my cousin while I studied and they got to wedding talk. She said stuff like how her life is 100x better since she left, how she's finally got real happiness in her fiance. Her fiance is her world now and can't wait to fully move on from her old life. It just made me so freaking angry, like her life is so much better with me barely in it. And move on from that old life? I'm from that old life. I guess she noticed I was pissed cause at night she tried to talk to me. I said I didn't want to talk, but she's like she deserves to know when something's wrong with her girl since I always seem so depressed whenever I come over, and that just made me snap and I lost it and started shouting at her. I was like, I fucking hate the way she came out cause my life got a lot worse and it ruined things between us, and it sucks that it's like she wants me gone cause she's happier without me. That started a pretty bad argument cause she was like, I'm blowing it out of proportion. I just don't understand. And then mom just left the room, but I heard her crying when I walked by her room to go to the washroom at night. In the morning her fiance drove me to the ferry right after breakfast instead of after dinner. Since then it was just text cause I didn't want to talk to her. My dad and his GF have noticed my attitude, so yesterday I told them what happened and he flipped, telling me I couldn't say that shit to my mom, and his GF said I was an asshole for saying it. Before I went to sleep I FT'd mom to talk again and she said my happiness is hers, and if she's why I'm depressed I shouldn't see her till I'm ready. Now I don't know like if I was wrong to say that shit to mom or what I should do even. My fucking counselor is still in Barbados. My dad's at work and his GF's like she's staying out of it, and my cousin did too. Again, sorry if this is the wrong subreddit. If there's a better one for me to post since the other one I tried doesn't seem to be it either. Please let me know. Update. So a lot of shit has happened since my last post and I just feel more shit than before. I didn't plan on posting here again, but you all were so nice I thought it couldn't hurt to hear what you have to say. But I called my uncle, he wanted to see me, Cause I was scared my dad told him, and then he's ashamed of me too cause he's gay and he's my fave uncle ever. So he picked me up after school and I went to his apartment and he just gave me a big hug because he knew something was up. So I told him what I said and why I said it, and that I was scared he'd be mad at me too if my dad was the one who told him. He just told me he isn't mad and he understands, and we played basketball at the court nearby until it was time for him to drop me off. That was like the last time I've even felt actually happy cause the entire rest of this month has been such absolute shit. Like I phoned my mom to say sorry the day after and talk about how I feel, but all she did was get mad at me for telling my uncle and said I'm not allowed to share stuff about her home without her permission. I said I was sorry about both things, but she said it didn't matter now and just hung up. Then her fiance texted and just said to give my mom a few days to calm down. That just made me mad cause why should I? She's my mom. I should be able to phone her whenever, and I tried, but she just declined my call, and then I think I turned off her phone. I don't know, I haven't slept properly at all since then cause I think I ruined things with my mom for good. Like all she's been doing is texting me and we've barely actually talked. Like I keep thinking about it and my thoughts and dreams just get all messed up, and it's like I get this soft lump in my stomach that keeps coming and going the more I think about it. It feels like I was right about me being part of her old life, and I wish I'd never said what I did to her. Then it turns out I was supposed to get a tetanus shot when I was 11, but I didn't for some reason. We're not anti-vaxxers. So I had to get it now cause dad said Vancouver Coastal Health Authority was on his ass, and I ended up having a terrible allergic reaction to it. Like I got sent to the hospital for a week cause of it, like apparently super rare reaction, hooray for me. And that fucked up my exams too, and my mom didn't even come see me cause she was going to a cabin with her fiance the day after. She talked to my dad on the phone and learned how bad it was, but just texted me she knew I'd be better and that if I was still there when she came back she'd come right away. Like it made me want to stay in the hospital for longer. She didn't fucking come, everyone came but her. Like my cousin came every day, and my dad's GF even slept by me a few days, and my nieces and even my boyfriend's and best friend's moms came, but mine didn't. And when I got out, all I got was a text saying so happy you're out of the hospital baby, with a selfie from her and her partner showing off the cabin included with it. Like I couldn't stop looking at that stupid photo. I like obsessed over it for days and kept getting that stupid feeling in my stomach, and so I smashed my phone, and my dad's GF heard and he got an emergency meeting with my counselor. She's a psychologist, but I've always called her that. Set up. And I told her everything but more details, Avi, and at the end of it she said I'm very likely depressed and might need treatment. I don't know. I got scared and asked her to tell my dad, and she did, and told us to get our family doctor to give a referral to a psychiatrist to get proper diagnosis for treatment, or to just get it from the family doctor. My dad got scared and made us get that referral the next day. My dad made the appointment and asked my mom to come, but she said she won't be able to and just texted me to stay strong and remember I'm the most important thing in the world to her. I don't know what to do. I don't want meds or anything. I just want my mom to love me like she used to again. If you guys have any advice on what to do, I need to hear it, cause it's like my mom isn't even listening to me anymore, and the appointment is on Friday and I'm feeling scared. Second update. So, I would have made an update earlier, but I just didn't have time. I'm in the hospital right now recovering from my ankle surgery, and all I have is time until I can go home on Friday, so I thought I might as well update. The day after I wrote my post, I had my niece's mom, my cousin-in-law, but she introduces me as her little sister, so sister-in-law, drive me to my uncle, and he just gave me the biggest hug ever, and I don't know, I just ended up crying a little and they ended up calming me down. I told my uncle about the appointment with the psychiatrist and that I was scared even though everybody, you guys, was saying it would be okay, and that I'd just been so unhappy and that I'd just missed my mom so much. He agreed to go with me and my dad to the psychiatrist cause my mom wouldn't be coming. I don't know, I just didn't sleep at all that night and just felt so scared in the morning and kept thinking about mom and didn't want to go to school either, but I did go, just felt so weird, like that feeling in my stomach was just there and not going away. Only hanging out with my boyfriend felt right, and before lunchtime I just fell asleep in class and got sent to the office. They phoned my dad and he signed me out and dropped me off at my uncle's house. He was already taking care of my niece, so I felt bad, but I went to sleep at the same time as her, and he took a really cute photo of us sleeping next to each other. He woke me up when my dad came back and we just went to the psychiatrist together. Long story short, at the end of the appointment the psychiatrist prescribed me a really low dose of antidepressants cause I'm still scared. I've been taking them and they have made me feel a bit better, but I have another appointment next week cause my counselor says I might need a higher dose. When I vented to my counselor, she said she'd be willing to host an extra joint session between me and my mom on Zoom if she agreed, and that it might help if I get my feelings across with a third party. I didn't want to do it, but some of you recommended it and my counselor said it could be a good first step. So I called my mom and it was a short conversation again, but she agreed to the counseling session and all I had to do was send her the Zoom link, so we set one up for later. So I had the Zoom session in our computer room so I'd be all alone there, and at first my mom seemed so excited because she was like, we can work through our issues and put them behind us. I don't want to talk about all of it. I mean, I couldn't anyway. I can't remember most of it, but it didn't go well at all. Like when my counselor brought up not being with her that much, my mom said when I came to University of Victoria, I'd obviously stay with her, and I just said after everything I didn't even want to go to the University of Victoria anymore and would rather just go to University of British Columbia cause everybody here actually wants me. My mom said that was ridiculous since outside of Waterloo University of Victoria was the best option for software engineering in Canada and University of British Columbia only has electrical computer engineering, so I'd have to go to her if I still wanted to do that. I remember my mom said a few times like she'd spent over a decade doing nothing but being a mom and now that she finally understood herself she just wanted time to explore that and I should appreciate that. Then at the end of it I told my mom that I hated that she didn't come and see me in the hospital and that she didn't even phone me like I told her I was scared I'd die and she just said it wasn't that serious cause it was a vaccine and those protect us and to not act like it was serious. I don't know, that made me mad and I just muted my mic cause I didn't want them to hear me crying but I kinda had a breakdown and just ran out to my dad and his fiance cause I was crying. They said they ended the session but I don't know what they said to my mom or the counselor. Apparently I fell asleep crying on the couch while hugging my dad but I don't remember any of it but my dad said I was crying really loudly. I think they carried me to their bed because when I woke up in the morning I was there and my dad was on a mattress by the door and she was on one by the washroom door. They said it was to block me cause they were scared I'd try something. My dad took my new phone and laptop from me for a bit and said it might be healthy for me to stay off them for a bit. I have them back now. I haven't talked to my mom at all since then. I mean not even good morning good night texts. She hasn't contacted me at all about my broken ankle even though I had surgery yesterday and I feel like she doesn't even care that I got hurt. Like I know dad told her that I'm going to surgery but she hasn't called. I have my phone and laptop back now but my dad made me delete IG and Snap because he's worried seeing her on there might trigger me. A lot of you said I should stop talking to her, but I feel bad about it like when I think about it makes me feel worse like it's over now and I don't have her anymore. I just want her back. The only time I learn what's up with her is if I go to my cousin, who my mom stayed with after the divorce, and ask and apparently she's still happy and is occupied with all her wedding planning. Like another thing that sucks is that I used to love watching Scream with my cousin but now I can't even watch it cause I feel bad for Billy cause his mom left him too and I feel bad for feeling like that cause he's the villain. So I couldn't even get through our rewatch and we couldn't even watch the new one. I told my counselor that I still feel really bad and sad and nothing's changed and she said I need to bring it up at my next appointment with the psychiatrist so he can up my dose. I don't know, I feel confused and I don't like not seeing or talking to my mom at all. I feel like I've done the wrong thing. I've tried to do things we used to do with my dad's fiance and my boyfriend's mom but it's not the same and I just miss her more even though she probably doesn't miss me at all. I wish I could see her but I don't want to keep ruining things for myself cause what if she doesn't want me anymore? I'd rant to my counselor about it but I'm stuck in the hospital bed till Friday. So I guess that's why I'm back here looking for advice on what to do when I'm out of here. Third update. Hey guys, I'm posting again cause I'm confused as to what's going on and I thought maybe I'd get some opinions here before I bring it up with my therapist. Pretty much, I don't know if my mom hates me still or if now she wants to be my mom again. Because everything that she's done lately has made it so confusing. So my foot is still bad, the doctor said it's healing but I'm mostly confined to crutches or to a wheelchair and so I'm not really able to go to a lot of places. I mean I can go anywhere but I don't go cause it just takes too long to get around. I'm guessing that my cousin told my mom because apparently she came to New Westminster and did her wedding dress shopping there with my cousin and her fiance and she didn't even tell me. I know we hadn't talked since the therapy session but she promised me that I would get to do that with her and she didn't even tell me. I found out because when I visited my cousin she showed me the dresses she was going to wear at the wedding and at the reception and the ones my mom and her got for me to wear at those. I was confused because I was sad she didn't take me but happy cause that meant she still wanted me there. Anyway, her wedding was on Canada Day and I went with my cousin to Victoria a week earlier. My dad did say I didn't need to go but I didn't want to miss it. We stayed at an Airbnb that my mom got for some of our relatives cause her place was too small. She didn't come to visit me there but my cousin went to meet her and I didn't go cause my foot was hurting really bad. When she came back she said my mom was really disappointed I didn't come as well. The day after I was going to go shopping downtown with my cousin but then my mom came. Like when she saw me she didn't give me a hug like she usually gives, she just kinda held my shoulders and gave an awkward kiss on the cheek and said she's glad that I decided to come. Then she kind of turned me over to my aunt, my mom's cousin, to go shopping with instead cause she and my cousin would be busy that week with all the wedding stuff and making sure it all went perfectly so we couldn't go downtown. I love my aunt so it wasn't bad going downtown with her, she didn't even mind pushing me in the wheelchair, but it wasn't what I wanted to do. 2 days before the wedding they had this really big family dinner where my mom and her wife were introducing people to their relatives. Because my foot got swollen and the boot was hurting it I had to go in the wheelchair. So my mom didn't even introduce me to people and one of the few times I was able to talk to her, this guy related to her wife interrupted us, asked who I was and she just said don't worry about her and then had an aunt of mine wheel me away. That made me really upset but I did feel a bit better because her fiance's parents brought gifts for me. Not my kind of stuff, I think they thought I was younger than I am. The wedding itself was cool, my foot wasn't badly swollen then so I was able to use my crutches. My mom acts so differently then and made me take a bunch of pictures with her and with her fiance and she seemed so happy and told me that it was the best day of her life only because I came. At the reception I wore the dress that she got me but I couldn't walk in the crutches while wearing it. Not like the wedding one. So my aunt made me go in that dress and in my wheelchair even though I didn't want to. And my cousin said I could wear a different dress, but my aunt was like, my mom got the dress specially for me and will be upset if I don't wear it. Then at the reception I wasn't seated at the table with family near the stage where she and her fiancé sat, but at a table with kids I didn't even know, even though some of my relatives younger than me were at the family table. My aunt said they moved me there because of my wheelchair, but I just don't get why I couldn't be with my family. My mom didn't even take a photo with me at the reception. She just came to me once and said hi, and I wasn't even in the family photo cause we didn't bring my crutches cause of my wheelchair, so my aunt said my mom told them to leave me cause they couldn't fit me in. Then the day after we were going home, my mom came to say goodbye to us. She talked to me alone for a minute and then she said sorry for everything that happened between us before and that she was hoping we could get past it, but if we couldn't she was still happy. I came to her wedding. I didn't really get to say anything, cause she just hugged me and sent us on our way. I don't feel that sad about everything anymore though, cause I think that the antidepressants have been helping. I have been feeling happier for about a month now and nothing has happened to me like I was afraid. For the last 2 weeks, my mom has been texting good morning and good night again when I didn't do anything, like text, call or phone or FaceTime since the therapy session with her. It hasn't been more than that, but I've been saying it back. I'm just confused with the way she's acting and what she wants. Do you guys have any clue or advice? Edit, I wish I could say thank you to everybody who has commented and given advice. I'm sorry if I didn't respond to you personally, but it means so much to me that you guys cared. I've read everything and I will be bringing up a lot of this with my counselor. Thank you guys so much, I love you all. 4th update. So I got a phone call from my mom and I did answer, cause I guess I was curious, cause she's only been texting me since her wedding and she said she wanted me to come over, and even though I was really missing her, because I was going to go with my uncle's family to Seattle that weekend, I said no. I think I would have said no anyway because I was just planning on staying away like everybody here suggested, and my counselor also said that it might be good to define my life without her. She said okay, but then the day after, I think she phoned my dad because he said that I had to go to Victoria instead. I told him I didn't want to go, but we ended up arguing and he said that I didn't have a choice and my uncle would take me somewhere when I got back. So my dad dropped me and my cousin off at the ferry, and when we got to Victoria it turns out my mom and her wife, I guess stepmom now, moved into their new house. My mom's wife wasn't there cause she was in Ottawa for work, but her parents did come. They're really nice. They kind of went on about how they thought they'd never have grandkids and were so happy when they learned my mom had me. They did offer to get me some presents this time, but my mom let them take me to dinner at some pierogi place downtown instead. I don't know what to think about the visit because so much of it was good, but the one bad part was really bad. When I got there I wanted to talk to her about the stuff at her wedding and everything else, and I wanted to tell her that I would rather have gone with my uncle, but then I just felt really nervous and just couldn't because I don't know, I kind of felt like I'd just ruin the entire trip if I did. So I just didn't, and maybe that was the wrong thing. The first thing I noticed in her house was her giant graduation picture where she's holding a baby me above the fireplace. Then my mom surprised me by showing me my room, and it's perfect. I have a huge bed, a big personal washroom, a walk-in closet, one of those fancy standing desks, and a TV. It's all white cause my mom was like, when my foot is better she wants me to come and paint and decorate it all with her. She even promised she'd never let anybody use the room even if I'm not there that often. The first night after I got back from the pierogi place, my mom, my cousin and I stayed up so late just watching TV, and I even fell asleep hugging her. The next day we went downtown and my mom took us shopping and then to the Royal British Columbia Museum, the one with the mammoths. My foot and my hands really started hurting after my mom made me use my crutches and not wheelchair because she said it'd be good exercise, so then she took us to a spa. We took so many pictures and I'm pretty sure she put them on Instagram, but I'm not allowed on it anymore, so I'm not sure. I was really tired when we got back, so I conked out right away, and when I woke up in the morning, mom actually brought me pancakes in bed because of my foot, cause I love it when she makes those. The rest of that day was good too, except at night my mom said that when I moved in for university, we could make every day like this, so I reminded her that I might go to University of British Columbia instead. We got into a really big argument about university and I did scream at her and bring up stuff from before, but pretty much my mom said that she wants me to go to University of Victoria. If I still want to do software engineering, and said that if it was any other kind of engineering I wanted to do she wouldn't mind paying for the University of British Columbia, but that it's not good for software. She did say she would still pay no matter where I went, but she'd be really disappointed if I chose not to go to the best university for my degree where I could stay with her, just cause I blamed her coming out and moving for everything bad that's happened to me since then. She also said I needed to stop exaggerating how bad everything has been because it shouldn't make me change my university plan. I tried telling her that's not what I meant, but I couldn't say it right and I fucking started crying and she seemed to get really mad. She didn't yell or anything, but she just gave a frustrated sigh and said I needed to stop crying, grow up and accept that she handled things the best way she could and my attitude problems were why it's been a bad year for us. That just made me cry more, and she said if I don't grow up I'm never going to get a husband, and then left the room. I just kind of kept crying cause I don't feel like any of that is true, and the husband part was so fucking weird and I honestly can't stop thinking about that part specifically. Half an hour later, She came back with water and made me drink and started telling me how if I want to do computer or electrical or any other engineering she'd support the University of British Columbia but not the University of Victoria. Is the best for software outside of Waterloo and she doesn't want to send me so far away but will still pay for it if that's what I choose. I don't know why she wanted to keep talking about that but I didn't, so I just agreed when she said she'll take me to talk to an advisor to convince me next time I come over. Me and my cousin left early the next morning, so yesterday. And my mom said she'd try and come over for my birthday because her in-laws really wanted to attend and that she'd try and make an appointment at the University of Victoria. Once my foot's better. The thing is that argument was the one bad thing about that visit. Everything else would have been perfect because it was just like it used to be with her and I don't even know if I'd be posting if it had been, but I just can't stop thinking about the stuff that she said when we argued. I don't even know why she said the husband thing. I just don't get what the fuck she meant by that, or why she would bring it up. I'm not going to smash my phone this time, but I do feel mad thinking about it. I told my cousin about the argument we had on the way back and she told me she personally thinks I should go to University of British Columbia and would try to convince my mom, but that she thinks she just wants me to live with her again. I told my dad and his fiancée about it and he apologized for making me go but said that he had to. He and his fiancée have checked on me a dozen times already. Like, I'm get that stupid fucking feeling in my stomach again every time I think about it and I wish I'd been able to go with my uncle instead. But I am going to spend the rest of the week at his apartment, so I guess it's fine. I'm going to go to my counselor again today before my uncle picks me up. Does anybody have any advice for me that I can bring up? Cause we went through comments posted here last time. 5th update. So some stuff has happened. I've pretty much just been texting with my mom since my visit to her. I tried to keep it good night, good morning, but when I didn't respond to her other messages, she phoned my dad and he told me I didn't have to phone her but to at least respond to her other messages. I did have to go to Victoria for Thanksgiving because her wife's whole family was going to be there and she told my dad I had to go. I was only there for 3 days with my cousin and the first 2 days, my mom pretty much spent with me and it was like it used to be again. Like she and I went shopping, we even cuddled to sleep watching TV again, but the 3rd day she and her wife were focused on the dinner and guests and everything, so I get it. Yeah, I was upset that she paid really little attention to me, but her wife's entire immediate family was there and I get that she needed to focus on them. But when we left after dinner, we had to take the really late ferry. My mom said bye and that she was going to book a meeting at the University of Victoria to take me to and didn't even give me a second to talk about it before waving us bye. And then it went back to just texting good morning, good night until my birthday. So then my mom and her wife came with her wife's parents because my mom was like they really wanted to celebrate my birthday. I guess they're my step-grandparents, but I really like them and they seem to really like me too. I mean, my step-grandma said the best thing about the wedding was that they finally got a grandchild and they brought a lot of presents for me. They have a niece around my age and they had her go out with them and just get so much stuff that they think someone my age will like, and I do like it. My mom got me an album of pictures of us and said to look at the photos whenever I miss her cause it'll make it like she's right there with me. At the party, mom and dad seemed to get along just like when they were married. Like they were laughing, telling jokes and even had me do goofy pictures with them like we all used to. Mom's wife got along with dad's fiancé and with my uncle, his son and his son's wife. My mom didn't talk to my uncle at all beyond when he came to say hi to her and she said hi in a really mean tone to him, which was weird since they used to be so close. I guess she's still mad at him for when I talked to him about what was going on. She was really weird with my boyfriend and was non-stop making jokes about him and me getting married and making her a grandma. She straight up said to him, I don't want you to wait until I'm gray and in my 40s to make me a grandma. But his mom also got in the joke, so I guess it was just a mom thing. My mom and her wife left after only about an hour and a half in order to go stay at a fancy hotel all the way over by Cole Harbor, even though my dad did offer them a room. Mom just said she doesn't feel it'd be appropriate to stay in the same house as him and it's too painful for her, cause she designed the house when I asked her why she couldn't stay. It did piss me off cause they came at 4 o'clock and so when everyone was setting up I guess that means they missed the actual party. My step-grandparents stayed though and only left in the morning when my mom and her wife came to pick them up. Then at like 8:30, my mom FaceTimed me but it looked like she and her wife were in the hotel spa or something. It doesn't make sense cause I thought those closed pretty early in the day but they were wearing those robes and looked like they were someplace really fancy. Then my mom was like she has to hang up cause she doesn't want me to see them without clothes on and they were both giggling at that. That really fucking pissed me off that they ditched my birthday to go hang out in a spa. Maybe they were actually doing something else but I honestly don't want to even think about that beyond what I have. Then there was the album that she gave me as a present. I didn't really think about that a lot then because I was just happy that she came. But I did try yesterday because my dad's fiancé was meeting with some of her relatives for last minute planning because her and dad's wedding is on Sunday. I wasn't with them because I was studying, but when I did leave my room to get my charger I heard them talking about me. My dad's fiancé was saying the best stuff about me but her relatives were saying some shitty things about my mom and she wasn't stopping them. She was also talking about how my mom is forcing my dad's hand to send me to her over winter break instead of my uncle's cause that's when their honeymoon is. I didn't mean a spy, and I get now that I'm writing about it that what they were saying wasn't exactly wrong and they were only saying it because they didn't think I'd hear, but it really fucking pissed me off and it still does. So because I was upset, I looked at the album and it's pictures of both of us from when I was a baby until now. Behind each picture she slid a note about why that memory is special or what the picture means to her if she can't remember. But it just made me angry because of how few photos there are from after she moved to Victoria. Most of them are the ones of the wedding day and barely anything before that. There's one photo in it that was like a month before she came out, and it's when she lived at my cousin's house, and pretty much I surprised her with cookies that my cousin and I made that day. When I surprised her, she hugged me so tight and told me she was so proud of me, and my cousin took the photo on her phone. But that night I found her crying in her room and she said it's because I'm growing up, and said something like how she wishes she could live in moments like that forever since she's so proud of me. And it just makes me so mad because that's what I want back, and the fact that I'm not even in photos of her pre-wedding events and reception and so much other stuff in Victoria just makes it seem as if the album is her giving me proof that I've barely been in her life and that I should be happy for it. And I know I shouldn't be thinking that because she actually gave me such a good gift, and I'm poisoning it in my own mind instead of valuing it and all the memories inside. My therapist has been trying to help me define life without her, and it's hard because I don't want to, because I can't let go of this feeling that it could be good again, and I don't want those people to be right. My therapist says it's all right to want that, but for my own sake I need to, in case it doesn't ever happen, and it'll help once I'm in university, so I've been trying, but I hate it. So, I guess I came here again to ask for advice and stuff I can bring up in therapy. Relevant comments. Comment 1. I also thought that perhaps the grandparents-in-law saw how little OP was being acknowledged and wanted to change that. If they were really crazy about having a grandchild, they would probably want a genetic one. I think they might possibly be decent people trying to help that poor neglected kid. Op's mother is a cruel, disgusting human being. Comment 2. I get that feeling too. Mom was completely okay with leaving her old life, her daughter, behind, until wannabe granny grandpa started wanting to be involved. Now daughter has value. It's so infuriating that all these adults, minus the uncle, keep blaming shifting onto her, like why does this kid have to make all the goddamn adjustments in behavior and attitude? Of course she is depressed that her mom threw her away. But this kid keeps acknowledging, and she could be handling things better instead of making them worse. She isn't. It is normal to be mad at mom for treating her like an unwanted wedding crasher. She justified every shitty thing as something she, the kid, could have done better. No. She could have had a teenage meltdown when mom ditched her for the wedding dress shopping, or when she didn't even introduce her at the wedding. Being put at the kids' table. Fucking police. Comment 3. The husband comment makes way more sense now if she wants her to have kids. That's totally why she said that. She wants her daughter to have kids so the in-laws have grandkids. That's totally it. Why would a lesbian make a comment like that to their daughter? It seems so weird and not something a gay person would say. But if she wants her daughter to have kids, of course she wants her to have a husband. She probably wants to speed that process along. What a fucking awful thing to say to your 16-year-old daughter while she's crying. Instead of being empathetic and understanding, she dismisses her feelings, insults her, then tells her she won't ever get a husband. I hope this girl realizes she doesn't need her mom. She's not at fault, and she gets better with her depression. My mom tried to force a reconciliation between my sister and me, but it backfired. Now, I don't know if I want her in my life anymore. I started dating my brother's best friend when I was 16. We were together until I graduated high school, when he proposed and I rejected it. There was a lot of drama, with my family asking me to reconsider because we could have a long engagement, or make a promise to reconcile. My relationship with my brother, 36, suffered for a while, but the one with my sister, 32, never recovered. She was sure my ex was the best fit for me and became unbearable when she started dating my ex's brother. My ex was invited everywhere by my siblings, even to some family holidays, but I didn't say anything since he was their friend too. That is until my sister started to push for us to get back together. My sister did everything from trying to get us on blind dates to making us share a room during holidays. No matter the occasion, my ex was invited to it. After a while I had enough and asked my parents to intervene. They were clear with my siblings and stopped inviting my ex to things or allowing him to tag along so much. It was slightly better, but while my brother backed off, my sister didn't. It all came to a crash when I met my husband during a semester abroad. He was from another university but the same country, and we just clicked. It was magical for me, and we got engaged after dating for a year. My family was very happy for me, except my sister. She kept insisting I was in the honeymoon phase and will grow out of it. I clearly didn't, and after many, can't express enough how many, fights and attempts to reunite me with my ex, I simply let her know if she pulled anything again I will stop talking to her. What does she do after that warning? Makes me her MOH and requests I spend all my time with the bridal party, aka my ex, and sets one of her friends as my husband's date. We didn't realize until we were at the reception and the poor girl tried to make a pass at my husband. My sister said that since we are not married it was okay to explore things with other people. I left the party and the next day spoke with my parents and brother, Explain that while I won't make them choose, I will not talk to my sister ever again, and if they try to fix stuff between us, I will simply cut contact with them too. My mom was devastated and tried to negotiate, but my dad and brother said they would respect my decision, and apart from 2 attempts from my mom, I haven't spoken, written, or anything with my sister in the past 6 years. My sister has tried everything to reconcile with me. From gifts to tantrums, but I simply don't talk to her at all. If we are at a family event or dinner, I simply act like she doesn't exist. At first she made snarky comments or tried to create drama, but since nobody backed her up, she gave up. She did have a meltdown when she was informed she was invited to my wedding but would not be part of any preparation. My brother says he feels guilty for going along with it for so long, and his relationship with my ex has suffered since my ex. They still talk, but they are not as close anymore. The issue. My mom's birthday was a couple of weeks ago, and I finally announced we are expecting our first child. This is not the first grandchild, but is the first granddaughter. Everybody was very happy except my sister. My mom noticed that and asked me for tea the other day. My sixth sense told me not to go, but I wanted to be positive. The first thing I noticed when I arrived was my sister's car. Then as I entered the door, there was my sister, her husband, my ex, and my ex-male. They wanted to have an intervention since my childish tactic has gone for so long. My ex said that he was just trying to be romantic, but he understands I couldn't appreciate it. His mom said I was just hurting my sister for wanting the best for me, and she apologized already, so I need to forgive her. I was just sending texts to my family, dad, brother, husband, and looking at my mom in disbelief. My Bill had the balls to tell me I was a hurtful person and I need to learn how to act like an adult since I'm having a baby now. Then my mom began reading a letter about how hurt she was that her daughters weren't close, how my sister was wrong but she was well intended, etc. Then my sister read her letter and began crying and telling me basically another version of what the rest did. I said nothing to anybody, just sat there until my brother arrived. He was angry beyond anything I've ever seen before. He grabbed my stuff and told them all he was really disappointed and disgusted. We went outside and sat in his car until my dad and husband arrived. By then I was just sobbing and he kept saying sorry. I am unsure what happened there, but I sent everybody, except mom, an email with my lawyer's number info attached and stated I don't wish to be contacted by any of them ever again, and if they do I will go to the police. Nobody has contacted me, but I know from my dad my mom and sister are hysterical. They told him they hope to repair things and for my sister to be able to be in my baby's life, maybe possibly being a godmother. My dad is staying with my brother at the moment. They support me, but some others in the family don't. I've even had mutual friends call me since they are worried about my sister's well-being and asking me what happened, since she is now going by the narrative that my husband is keeping me away from my family. I hate having my business in public, but I did go the public route and posted a long FB post about everything that happened. Sister, Bill and ex are being dragged, which even if it wasn't 100% intended I feel is deserved. Now, my mom has been inconsolable, which does make me feel bad, but not as bad as she made me feel with her little intervention. I agreed to have a talk with her a couple of days ago and laid the ground rules for any possible future interaction, including therapy, family therapy, clear boundaries, no sharing information about me with my sister, and separate holidays. Most important, if she ever pulls anything like this again, she will for sure be cut off. She feels this is too much but is willing to do it. She thought it meant immediate access to baby news and it is all solved, but I told her it is a process and she needs to prove she has improved. My dad and brother refuse to talk to my sister and they keep apologizing for not stopping it earlier. We've forgiven them since they were able to move on and grow. My husband supports whatever I decide, but my MIL is unsure cutting my mom's access to her granddaughter is the way to go, but says it is ultimately my decision. I am torn about what to do with my mom. Relevant comments. Commenter, what is their logic? Like, now that you're pregnant, you should stop playing make-believe with your husband and realize your happiness ever after is with your ex. What about your baby? Your ex and his family are gonna accept her. OP, my sister claims she is not trying to get us together anymore, but that I can't take away her chance to be an aunt. She says I'm a bad sister for being close with my SILs, who are amazing people. I obviously don't believe her. My issue is what to do with my mom. Commenter, she couldn't be your best friend without you dating your ex? OP, I wish I could tell you, but I have no idea what her thought process is. My husband has the theory she is just mentally unwell. The ex, the most ridiculous and scary thing is he still has the mixtapes, CDs, I made him when we were dating. Those things are about 20 years old and he still holds on to them. Commenter, I'm kind of surprised your stalker ex, and yes I will call him that, is still in your brother's life. That said, hold firm with your mother. No timelines. She has to show she can stick to your rules. Sister needs to live with the consequences of her actions. OP, to be fair to my brother, he did start to cut him off when I told my parents I was very uncomfortable with my ex around all the time. I was living away for college but would visit my family during breaks. He also made a very big effort to make my husband feel welcome, which deteriorated his relationship with my ex even more because he felt betrayed by my brother. Nowadays my husband is one of my brother's closest friends and he only speaks with my ex when it is about our nephew or to not be rude. Commenter, you need to realize that your mom is supporting all of this. A big reason Big Sis is continuing this is because she knows your mom also thinks it's right. OP. This makes me very sad since my mom was always so nice to my husband and now I am reevaluating their whole relationship. OP's background and culture, not Indian nor from a religious family. My parents were good, nice parents. They thought it was a romantic thing at the beginning but later realized it wasn't. They encouraged me to go to college and everything. Now I know my dad actually supported me and my mom might have just played along and have the same beliefs as my sister. My sister had this idea we would be best friends married to brothers. Update 1. The edit I wanted to post but couldn't. I want to thank you for the amount of support and advice so far. I want to give a little more info that is in my comments since there are too many for me to answer them all individually. My ex and I broke up when I was 18, he is 37 now. The reason for our breakup was that I didn't want to get married or engaged. My sister's insistence comes from the fixation of wanting the both of us to marry brothers and being best friends. My mom has always been so nice to my husband but I am beginning to think it was all a facade, which makes me very sad. My ex has been with people since the breakup, he also has 2 kids with an ex but he's never been married. My sister says that is a very romantic thing to do since he has only ever wanted to marry me. I should also mention his obsessive behavior is not only with me. I know from the grapevine he was very similar with the mother of his children but now he is refocusing on me because my sister is encouraging it since she needs his help on getting back in my good graces so she can be a good aunt. My brother did start to cut him off when I told my parents I was very uncomfortable with my ex around all the time. I was living away for college but would visit my family during breaks. He also made a very big effort to make my husband feel welcome which deteriorated his relationship with my ex even more because he felt betrayed by my brother. Nowadays my husband is one of my brother's closest friends and he only speak with my ex when it is about our nephew, sister's son, or to not be rude. Both my parents seem to be supportive of me not wanting to be around my ex so much, but I guess only my dad was in agreement. On the day of the tea party my mom told him she was making me my favorite tea and sweets, but he couldn't stay since we would have quality time together. My dad left to go hang with my uncle since he thought it was a nice sentiment from my mom. He's very pissed off. My husband tried very hard with my sister when they met but now he just ignores her and believes she is mentally unwell. We don't know if she is or not, still there is no excuse for how she behaves. They invited the ex and his mom because they thought it would be good for me to face the root of my issues with my sister, or at least their official version. Also, we are not Indian, not really religious, my husband and I are from the same race. There is also no wealth disparity between my ex and my husband, if there is it would be in favor of my husband. Lastly, my CLs, both my brother's wife and husband's sisters, are enraged about the situation. My husband and his sisters will be talking with their mom about her comment. My brother and his wife are considering going NC with my mom permanently, in the meanwhile they will not allow her to see my nephews for a bit. The more I read, the more I think I might have to go NC with my mom for the sake of my kid. My husband is heartbroken to think all their interactions were fake but says he is even more enraged she made me cry and doubt I was a good person. I realize there are still countless conversations to have with my family about my mom, but I will definitely be going for a restraining order against my sister and the ex. The proper semi-update, the state of my family so far. I had a conversation with my mother but she insists she knew best. I am a bad person and she will be getting grandparents' rights or even custody. I don't know what she said, but I still panicked so we sent her a letter about it. My dad moved out definitely. He told her that he could not sign on to her terrorizing his kid. My brother and his wife also decided to go to NC. I know it seems very sudden but I think I understood the level of despair I had after the intervention. My husband told them afterward they had to think very well about what they appreciated and to be kind and receptive to everything but would not raise a kid on a toxic environment. Reason 3271637 Why I love my husband. My husband is very heartbroken about my mom and her fakeness. He says she will never get anything from him. That is as much as revenge goes here. My husband and sisters talked to my MIL about her comment and made her understand why it was very out of it, as many of you assume she is a very loving mom, from a loving family. My dad and brother keep apologizing for any role they played in this. My dad can't believe it went to this point. He says it is still surreal for him. Regardless, they support me no matter what and say they are willing to help me fight whatever ridiculous fight my mom or sister put up. Update 2. I want to thank the lovely messages and encouraging words. I decided to post it here so it wouldn't be deleted like the original was. Things are great and horrible at the same time but I'm trying to remain positive about everything. My brother and his wife sat my nephews down and explained that grandma was ill and tried to hurt Auntie Diamond and the little cousin. They explained grandma would not be part of their lives anymore but that doesn't mean she doesn't love them. It was really hard but the kids are smart. They were also told another aunt is no longer in their life but they don't care because they dislike her. Not because of me alone, simply because she is not exactly great with them either. My mom lost it when she was informed and started claiming she had rights and she will get to see her grandchildren. My dad is looking for a permanent place but will stay with us until January, mainly due to my brother's MIL coming to visit and us having the space. He is really sad, has called divorce lawyers already, moved bank stuff, etc. He has been getting countless emails, messages and calls from my mom, but he doesn't reply to anything. The lawyer told him to not block her right now. He considered maybe forgiving her, but I got a huge spike in my blood pressure a couple days after my last post here, because she decided to come to my place with my sister. My sister had never been to my home. My mom knew I didn't want her there, but I guess that doesn't matter anymore. The cleaning lady let them in since she knows my mom, and I haven't had the time to inform her she was not allowed to come in anymore. I was just coming from some errands and I saw the car. This time I didn't get in. I called all of my relatives, and my SIL, husband's sister, was the one closer to me. She confronted them and told them either they leave or I call the police on them for trespassing. They left and I started feeling bad. We went to the doctor and they told me all the excitement was not good and I need to start relaxing or it would hurt the baby. My dad went home with my brother, uncle and my husband and took every single thing he could think of. My husband says my sister was there too and she kept screaming at him that he destroyed her family. My dad told my mom and sister they almost killed the baby and he also doesn't want to talk to any of them again. My sister kept sending messages to my brother, begging for help, but it did not happen. I am devastated and very sad for my nephew since he is losing so much of his family because his mother has some wacky ideas, but it is what it is. As per the custody and grandparent rights my mom wants to throw around so much, my lawyer sent her a letter stating she caused harm to my health and the baby, and if she keeps harassing me it will become an official legal matter. My brother also sent her a letter accusing her of harassing me. Both, mom and sister, have refused to go to therapy. They might be mentally ill, but with all of this coming to light it is obvious they have been in agreement for a long time. I will focus on spending the holidays with my family, being healthy and going to therapy. Update 3. Hi, I've received some requests for an update and had a little time, so decided it could be a good fit. I want to thank you from the bottom of my heart from your comments, messages and every advice, because I feel we owe you for being even more paranoid than we were being. A couple people asked me what method we used to know the gender of the baby. I announced it after 20 weeks. The reason for waiting so long is we have experienced a loss in the past, which we were preparing to announce when it happened, and we wanted to be sure and have a safe feeling about the announcement. Also, we were naive enough to think it would be special for my mom. And you were right. After posting I handed it to my husband and he read your messages, comments, and advice for some days. We swiped the house and thankfully found nothing but felt extremely unsafe, so we went to a hotel with my dad. But then we realized there was a tracker on my fur baby's vest. He is a very small dog and gets cold a lot, so he has a funny vest. Never in a million years would I have thought of looking there, but we discovered the tracker when my dad walked him around the hotel area and my sister came and asked him about me and reconciliation. I was really upset, so we decided to move. Thankfully we can afford it. We are renting at the moment and also renting out our place, so it is not just empty. I used to love that house, but now I feel it is ruined and tainted somehow. Sadly, my parents' house feels the same, and not only for me. We all, brother, husband, dad, SIL, and even my husband's family, changed our numbers, got new electronics and notified employers, friends and police. We also started therapy and family therapy. My dad and brother feel extreme guilt over the situation even if I've truly forgiven them, but we are healing as a unit. My sister and mom insist they are not wrong and they don't need therapy. My dad made a new will in which my sister's son gets a trust fund and some inheritance, but my sister gets a token amount. He is truly done with her. I was feeling bad for her, but I decided to focus my energy on my baby. She is here and we are blessed. It is not the experience I thought of since my mom is not around me anymore, but so many friends and family members have truly surprised us. By the end we were so paranoid we started testing some people we were unsure of, telling them I was going into labor. It worked like a charm. We discovered who was still feeding info to my mom and sister and cut them out. The rest understood when we explained the reasoning. My ex, whom my friends now call Bates, went around saying the baby was his cause. We've been having a torrid affair due to my undying love for him. Nobody believes him anymore, but it made my husband contact Bates's employer and tell him about all the craziness. Long story short, he was put on a suspension pending internal reviewing. I am almost positive he will be fired since they have asked us for more and more info and they seem really apologetic. My mom has tried to find us, but all the people that know of our location have gone NC with her. My dad's lawyer sent her a letter stating that due to her instability all correspondence will be through lawyers now. It has been us and my dad because I felt so bad for him being alone. He has promised he will be fine and nothing is my fault, but I still feel awful. He has been the best babysitter, feeder, diaper changer in the universe. My nephews are loving as always, and my dad even got a visit with my sister's son. It came about because she kept making videos threatening to hurt herself if my husband didn't stop alienating her family, so my dad emailed her about seeing her son and told her he would call the police about her threats, so that seems to have stopped it. Lastly, someone brought up Bates's false hope. It can't be further from the truth. I spent years uncomfortable because I thought he would move on. Then after I spoke up and then met my husband, I spent such a long time fighting my sister about it. I had a very long engagement, which is why I married after my sister. I still love my mom and sister, but I choose a healthy life for me and my family over that love. I have discovered a lot of loyalty, love and compassion through this whole thing. As strange as it may seem, I feel lucky it all exploded. Hopefully it is not much of a ramble. Big hugs from me. Update 4. We officially moved into a new house, with my dad moving into the guest house. We had many discussions both in and outside therapy, and we decided that while it would be good for him to be with us, we all still need our space. We are still renting out the old place and will be deciding what to do later. My dad has the grandchildren all together about 3 times a week now. He still has to see my sister's kid separately since she refused to let him take the kid unless she knew where he lived, which to be fair is a normal thing, but considering she is crazy, we don't want her close. My mom complained to the lawyers about how unfair it is. My dad still gets to see all grandchildren, but there is nothing she can do about it. About a month ago, my dad told me he had a confession and my stomach started hurting. Dear reader, he pays for my nephew's, sister's kids' schooling and babysitting, which is why she still allows him to see him. He felt so guilty for hiding it and didn't want to keep secrets. I assured him it was nothing wrong and to please don't feel bad. On Mother's Day, my dad got an email with a link to an Instagram account in which they made a sad video about my mom and how most of her family has abandoned her and how much of a saint my sister is for being there for her. It was really pathetic and enraged me, but I just sent it to the lawyer. Dad officially filed for divorce in May and the process is still ongoing. My mom insists he is wrong, but my dad said he'd rather drink bleach than go back to her, so I think that is final. My brother and husband took my dad out for Father's Day and had a blast. My sister posted many things that day, but they managed to block my dad from even learning about it because we wanted him to enjoy it. They also did a camping trip with the kids, aka went to a hotel, got a suite and put a tent in the middle area for the kids and a little tippy for the baby. Honestly, having a baby is one of the best things that have happened to me, and seeing my husband being the amazing father I knew he would be makes me so happy. It is tiring, but we have so much support. I feel grateful beyond anything because I have my rocks on my side. My SILs and I now get to have a little calendar on sharing things. All the kids get to do things that are age appropriate, and if they want to. We want to let them all know they do not need to hang out with people they dislike and their voices matter. Right now they are all obsessed with baby and say they are her protectors. And we get little get-togethers, brunch, etc. Honestly, having family time is now a pleasure and not a headache without my sister there. I know it is wrong to say, but she just sucks the positivity out of the room. My MIL also loves having time with the baby and stays in the guest room about once a week. She asked politely and said she didn't want to take the baby for sleepovers or anything. I feel respected and heard by her, and yes, have broken down sometimes because I miss my mom a lot. I miss the mom I had or thought I had, not the one that told me I would be a terrible mother or was a hateful woman. My therapist says it's a marathon and to focus on the good. Speaking about good, Bates was terminated. Not only that, but his reputation in his industry was not only damaged but nuclear level damaged. So was his brother's, but because Bill is not in an industry that cares as much about reputation, he still has his job as far as I know. Bates sent me a 12-page, double-sided, seemingly single-space letter about how hurt he is. I am denying him what's his, and my husband is so threatened by him that he had to go and destroy him professionally because he would not be able to destroy anything else. I said it seemed because I didn't read it, my lawyer did and gave me a summary. I also heard from the grapevine. No, I don't ask people, they just tell me since they know he is stalking me, that the mother of his children moved and he didn't even care and said it was for the best. This man doesn't even care about his kids and wants to play with baby and me. Sadly, he won't be homeless or anything because mommy already let him move back in with her, so I doubt he will learn anything from this. Not the flashiest of updates, but just what is. Oh, and my husband burnt or donated every single item given to him by my mom or my parents with my dad's blessing. He says life is too short to give her space in his life even with memories. Relevant comments. Commenter, I am really glad you are coming through all that with the good bits of your family very intact. I don't really get the firing part. I get Bates is a bad dude, but has he ever done anything that has relevance or a connection to his work? OP. Without giving up his industry. It is a very close-knit one, and when you get a bad reputation it sunks you. He was thought of as a nice but distant nice feminist single dad before this. He even told some co-workers I was with him for longer than we were. Commenter. Op, I am reading your full post from the best of Reddit at 1:30 a.m. from my home in India, and I have respect and sorry for what you've faced, and I hope your child grows to be healthy and nice as you both. Also, I hope this whole fiasco is over soon and you can be back with your mother after her ex-fantasy is over. Respect for you. Keep fighting, OP. That is a lovely sentiment, but I will never talk to my mom again. I miss her a lot. I cry a lot. She is not the person I thought she was, and the baby deserves the best family we can get, and my mom is not part of it. It breaks my heart, but I need to protect the baby. OP comments on the second Boru post. I came to check the comments since Tequilitas told me the sub was full of nice people but so many snarky ones. I won't give more identifying info, but Bates is supposed to work with vulnerable people, which is why my husband contacted their employer. As for the money thing, we all come from well-to-do backgrounds for saying something, so I never thought he would suffer for money, but he also will never learn anything. New update. I have some updates for you, but first I want to thank you for all your comments and messages. Every time I log into this account I am bombarded by mostly positive things and I appreciate it a lot. I am unsure if anybody will read this, but for those who want updates they are mainly good ones. With that out of the way, let's get to it. My parents are divorced now, after many fights and tantrums from my mother. She kept the house and got a bulk payment, but that is it. My dad is like a new man and we are all so happy for him. A little throwback. When all the drama happened we did not fire our cleaning lady. This is a woman that had been helping my husband's family for decades and I was very stressed out about her being out of work because of what my crazy family did. Also, we are not slobs and she is not polishing floors on her knees or anything like that. In any case, my dad spoke with her and told her she was on paid vacation and until we had a new house to please wait for us if she wanted, but she was absolutely not fired. She was really happy about it and so was her family. My dad started to get food and stuff from them from time to time because they were so thankful about what he was doing for them. Well, she has a sister, who owns her own nail salon, and my dad is dating her now. She is a very lovely woman and has grown children, so she understands the dynamics happening sometimes. He has been very clear he is not moving or marrying and she is pleased with that because she likes her independence. My mother nearly had a stroke when she heard about his new relationship and kept saying it was a late midlife crisis and he had to resort to being a sugar daddy. This is obviously what I heard because I don't have any contact with her. But last I heard she is having a hard time. She is struggling because she was never good at budgeting and relied on my dad to put a stop on ridiculous purchases. My sister is also struggling because my dad is not helping her with money anymore. You'll see, he was willing to keep helping for the sake of my nephew, but then things got very rough. My nephew started calling my kid an affair baby, how she is not with her real dad, called my other nephews delusional, and during a birthday party he even pushed one of my nephews on my husband's side saying they were not my kid's cousins, only he was. The kids were perplexed and so confused but immediately told an adult about it. My dad spoke with him but he kept repeating it. He spoke with my sister and she said she could do nothing to prevent a kid from telling the truth, and didn't all kids always tell the truth? He told her until there's a chance he is cutting them off. She panicked and cried, but she is also super stubborn, so now my nephew goes to public school because my husband made my dad cut them off. Bates, well, he is still unemployed. I know I was cryptic about it, but he was in an industry related to vulnerable women and some of it related to stalking. Irony much. That's why he was fired. The organization he was in didn't want this to splash on them. I have received 2 more very long handwritten rambling letters from him, and since he only has my lawyer's address, guess who has the honor of receiving, reading and file those ramblings? I love my lawyer and he is a champ. Apart from that and the gossip, I have not had bad issues related to him except for one. I was at the grocery store and a random woman came over to ask if my kid was Bates's baby. I was speechless and shocked. I asked her what she was on and she said he has a photo of us on his profile and I should be ashamed of myself for hurting such a good man. Turns out he is still going by the narrative my kid is his and I loved him so much. That is all old news, but at the end what shocked me the most was the pic comment. This is not a photo that has been public or anything like that. It was sent to a family group once and that is it. I told my husband immediately and he was enraged but composed, so we decided to smoke out the rat. Long story short, it was my dad's 2 sisters feeding info to my mom. My dad was so disappointed but also had no doubts cutting them off. They are still begging him to talk to them again. My brother and his family are doing great. We see them a lot and have been on some family holidays since the last update. They are also in NC with my mom and sister. My SIL is actually super happy about it because it turns out she was not a fan of our mom but kept the peace. My in-laws keep being lovely as well. We allow Mill overnight babysitting now too and she is over the moon with it. Sometimes she has all her grandchildren under the same roof and they are all delighted to be with her. She is a former flight attendant, so their favorite game is to pretend to be an airplane. Overall they love her and we know she is good without kids, so we do not worry. She had to make her socials private because my mom kept stalking her. I am sure she is extremely jealous, but she made her own bed. Lastly, my husband keeps me sane whenever little things come up. We are thinking if we should have another baby or maybe adopt one. We are still undecided. We have a great support system and the privilege to have these conversations. I still miss my mom a lot. I sometimes cry when I realize there are milestones I can no longer share with her, but she is a bad person and the safety of my family matters more. Last fun fact, this Father's Day they actually went camping. It went great apart from the mosquito bites and some ill-placed sunburns. Relevant comments. Could Bates ask for a paternity test? Report the photo. We already did a paternity test, not with Bates but with my husband. We never ever had doubts obviously, but my lawyer suggested having it done in case he claimed it. The photo incident was a while back and we already took it off his Facebook page. I didn't want to go further because I don't want to see him again. Editor's note. Well aware I wrote the wrong years when labeling, was focused more on trying to get the time between posts correct. That's fixed now, thanks to those of you who were polite about it. Am I the asshole for getting rid of the foster child my family has had for 7 years, and I don't care if it makes me a bad person? Firstly, please reserve judgment until the end. If you still think I'm a bad person after reading this, I won't stop you. I'm a 30-year-old man. My mom was a foster carer for the last 11 years before she passed away, and she made me promise that I would take over when she died. She had heart failure, but had lived for 7 years after diagnosis. She had 2 foster children, John and Paul. John came to live with us when I was 19 years old, and he was 8 and had severe behavioral issues linked to his trauma. My world was turned upside down. But I very quickly grew to love him. Underneath the trauma and the difficulties, he was an amazing boy who I loved with my entire heart. He's now 19 himself and still lives with me. He just finished high school, and I have no plans to move him out until he is ready. John and I have a great relationship. On the other hand, Paul is 16 years old. He came to live with us when he was 9. Paul has severe special needs, and no matter how much I've tried, I just cannot connect with him in the same way I did for John. Whereas John's behavior never bothered me, with Paul they do. I find him frustrating, and I have to remind myself that he is only on the same level as a 3/4-year-old mentally, and it's not fair that I get frustrated at him. When Mum was still alive, she took the main role of looking after Paul, and I supported her. Which was okay, but I knew that when she was gone I would struggle with him by myself. I didn't sign up to do this. I didn't sign up to look after him for the rest of my life, I just didn't. Mum died 6 months ago, and I said to myself I would try. I kept Paul for all this time, but I just can't cope with him. I can't. I told my social worker that he needs to be moved by the end of the month because I just can't manage. I want to continue fostering, and I love being a foster carer. But I just cannot meet his needs, and it was different when Mum was still alive. I feel so guilty because I made my mum a promise that I would care for him until he was at least 18. But I'm building resentment towards him, and it isn't fair on him. He deserves to have someone who loves and cares for him in the ways that I just can't. So yeah, call me selfish, call me scum, whatever, I deserve it. Relevant comments. Comment 1. Have you looked into state programs that could help with having a nurse or special needs caregiver to help with the burden? Uprooting Paul could hurt him even more, and he might be looking at you for support. Look into some programs to help and see what they say. If you need to move Paul, make sure you can discuss it with him. With him having a mind of a 3/4-year-old, that does some real damage to him if you aren't careful. My condolences and good luck. Edit. The other commenters are providing good advice and words of encouragement. OP. I've tried everything, any and all resources and support there is. When he's at school, it's not too bad. He has a transport to and from school every day and has a career who comes and takes him out for 5 hours each week. Plus I have 2 days each month where he is sent to a different foster carer, so I can have some peace time. But even with the support I can't manage it. I feel guilty for giving up, but I honestly tried my best. This doesn't mean I'm cutting him off completely. I'll still visit him sometimes. But I can't meet his needs, and I really tried. OP responds to multiple questions about suck it in and continuing with fostering Paul, and if there are any programs or residential homes that work with people like Paul. OP, no. Don't worry, they already have a place for him in a residential home. I don't know if the system is different in different countries, but giving notice here on a placement isn't seen as the end of you fostering, and I didn't have to justify it beyond, I just can't cope, luckily. Because I would have broken down if I had had to find justifications for it. It's funny, my mum used to say that the agency would always have had a way harder time playing John than Paul. John has very mild learning disabilities, but mainly linked to trauma. And had very bad behavior, even now, linked to his trauma, even though it's way better than when he was 8, lol. He's given me black eyes and bloody noses, smashed my laptops and TVs. And there was never a point, throughout all of that, where I ever thought I wouldn't give up on him. I would foster another child like him in a heartbeat and struggled to see why anyone wouldn't. To me, he was just a kid in a tough spot, and our love helped him. My mum explained to me that children like him are actually harder to place because people are less forgiving of behaviors without a cause they can physically see, like an obvious learning disability. I really tried to extend that to Paul, genuinely I did. I just couldn't. It just didn't click. I can't do the care he needs, sadly. And it's gutting for me because I really tried. And even though, I don't feel that intense love for him that I do for John. I would never want Paul to be put in harm, or not cared for. That isn't how the foster care system works. Me being unable to cope with Paul, who has extreme needs, means I should never be able to care for potential 10s of children that I can support throughout my lifetime. Because I cannot support one child is severe. Sen means that any potential foster children that I could support should what? Just continue living in residential group homes. Have a think about how that logic works for you. Me admitting I can't cope with one child means that 10s of future children could go without care and love in your world. Does that make sense to you? He is already on the highest package of support, which is immense, and I'm entirely grateful to my agency. But even with it, I'm not in a position to support him how he needs it, unfortunately. He already has a place in a residential home, and I will still visit him. I don't want to just move him there and pretend he never was part of my life. I'm not that heartless, at least LOL. Update. It has now been a few days since Paul moved out, so I thought I would give a little update. Firstly, I want to thank everyone who took the time to read my previous post and for those who offered support and understanding. It meant a lot, honestly. Paul has been placed with a new family who specialize in caring for children with severe special needs. I believe this is the best environment for him, and he seems to be settling in well. I am keeping in touch with his new carers, and they've assured me that he's receiving the care and attention he needs. At first the house felt different. Quieter but also emptier. There's a lingering sense of guilt, but I'm also more at peace knowing he's in a place better suited to his needs. John and I have had more time to spend together, which has been nice. We've talked a lot about everything that's happened, and I'm grateful for his understanding and support. I've also started seeing a therapist to help work through the guilt I've been feeling and to help me grieve. Yesterday, my agency reached out saying they have 2 little boys needing housing for a short-term placement. They said initially 6 weeks, but it could be extended. They are coming tomorrow, and I'm excited. They're 9 and 11 and are coming directly from their birth families. This will be my first proper placement, so I would be lying if I said I didn't feel a little anxious. Thank you again to everyone who reached out. Relevant comments. Comment 1. It sounds like everything is working out well for both you and John as well. Paul and the kids you're able to help now with these 2 and in the future. Good job taking care of yourself in this difficult time with therapy too. Comment 2, so glad to hear you made the right decision. Sounds like you're very awesome and I hope your new placement will be a good fit. Debbie Coleman 1010. Good luck to you and all the boys. You did the right thing for you all. You tried and it just didn't work out, and anyone telling you differently has never even come close to taking care of someone with severe disabilities. I fell in love with a married man while engaged to my fiancé of 6 years. Now I regret it and am trying to reconnect with my fiancé. We have been together 6 years now, and during the 3rd year of our relationship I cheated on him with a close family friend. I had started taking him for granted and it became easy to cheat because I didn't value the relationship. He broke up with me and we were split for months, and the times I was single I realized he is a great BF. I begged for him back and he took me back, but I had to promise to never speak to the guy again. I'm happy to say I never cheated since then and haven't been tempted at all. I understand how great of a partner I have. That being said, the guy I cheated on was a close family friend, and recently I rekindled our friendship behind his back. Nothing romantic. Have you ever met someone who is a terrible partner but a great friend? That's him. I hated the fact that I let a stupid mishap ruin our friendship. My fiancé found out and was angry. I apologized and we talked, and he needed space. He sent me a text of his demands to continue the relationship and I copied and pasted it. His text. After doing some thinking, I can't trust you. Whether it was platonic or not, this is the 2nd time that I know of where I have violated my trust. The hardest part isn't this, but now I have to wonder how many times have you violated my trust or done something behind my back that I just don't know about. You claim this is it, but how can I believe you? I love you and want to work on this relationship, but it's going to require a lot from you. We are postponing our wedding indefinitely. When we first got back together it took 10 months before I felt secure in the relationship again. I have no idea how long it will take to feel secure again. Eli, I changed the name, will be blocked on everything, and you're to never speak to him again. This now includes family events. If you know he will be there, do not attend. If you didn't know and he attends, you are to ignore him. I have unrestricted access to phones, social media, emails, etc. Every password I want to know for any device you have. No hanging out with male friends alone. You are to be home by 1 if you do go out with your homegirls. There will be more, but these are my demands and they aren't up for discussion. If you aren't willing to do it, then the relationship is over. Take your time to think about it. End of text. I called him, but he said he's not arguing with me about it and won't call him back until I decide what I want to do. I feel that this is extremely harsh considering the fact I didn't cheat this time. Ever since we got back together I never cheated on him. OP believes that the punishment is too far. I think I was wrong. But I feel that the punishment doesn't fit the crime. I made a horrible mistake years ago. Being friends with someone doesn't equal sign cheating. Even though I was wrong for going behind his back. OP is convinced to follow her BF's rules. Okay, I'll do it. I just needed to make sure he wasn't going too far, but if this is what it takes to rebuild his trust. When commenters say that OP is on her way to cheat on her BF again, she claims, "You don't think I'll follow his rules?" Good thing I don't let people tell me what I can't do. I'm going to be laughing when we work through this, get married and have kids. Update 1. We had a really great conversation and he was vulnerable and said it made him feel like I didn't value him. He was crying and it really hurt me to see the pain I caused him. He told me that please let's not go forward with this unless I can promise that I won't go behind his back again because he can't go through this pain again. I told him that I promise I will never hurt him again and will always be honest and upfront with him now. We talked about the rules and he said they will be temporary and will be adjusted when we go to couples therapy. Now it's time to put in the work to repair the relationship. I know it will be a lot of work, but I'm prepared. Update 2. So next month I'll get married this fall. I was with an amazing guy and we worked through a lot of issues together. I thought I loved him and I think I still do, but not in love with him. About 3 months ago at my job, we got a new coworker who is very handsome and extremely attractive. I mean, I have never been so physically attracted to someone in my life. We started to deepen our friendship, but romantic feelings came. I repressed mine, but to my surprise he confessed his feelings to me as well. I told him we gotta think about our spouses, but our feelings continue to grow. He told me he stopped being affectionate with his wife because he feels like he is cheating on me when he does that. He only wants to be affectionate with me. I've started doing the same thing and haven't been intimate with my partner. The big thing is a lot of people will be hurt when this comes out. He can't divorce his wife right away because of finances, but he will as soon as possible. I have to call off the wedding, but I really don't want to hurt my current fiancé. When asked about her previous infidelity, OP says, I have cheated before and I'm starting to realize it's because I didn't understand being in love. With the guy I'm seeing, we both aren't romantic with our current partners. I don't want to be with anyone but him. Also, he's going to divorce his wife. We have a plan for when his finances get straight. How is she justifying this affair? This is completely different. The first time I cheated was because I was selfish. This time it was because I fell in love with someone else. I didn't choose this. No one picks who they love. This whole experience has taught me how complex love is and that I've never been in love before. This is so hard on OP. That's not fair. I didn't want any of this to happen. It breaks my heart that I'm going to have to call off the wedding, but he's a great guy and I'm certain he will find someone else. I wish I loved him or didn't fall in love with someone else. Because life is more complicated than that. I don't want to hurt him and have been thinking, oh, the best way to tell him. You guys act like this doesn't hurt for me too. You guys are not being understanding or empathetic. When commenters tell OP she's gullible about the married guy, she keeps emphasizing, I'm going to tell my fiancé. But we can't tell the other guy's wife yet. He's trying to get his finances in order first. Update 3, I took everyone's advice and decided to end things with my fiancé. This was the hardest thing I had to do in my life. I know you guys think I'm a terrible person, but this is an unimaginable situation to find yourself in. I want everyone to know how much this hurts. I really wish I didn't fall in love with someone else. I wish I could make myself fall in love with my fiancé, but I can't. It took me so long to accept this. I hope you guys can understand that I can't convey this enough, that I care about my ex-fiancé. I know this will be best for both of us, even though it's hard right now. When asked if OOP told her ex-fiancé the truth, she says, I didn't lie. I told him the truth, that I fell in love with someone else. I told him I still care about him. I keep telling you all that I care about him and would never use him as backup. He's a great guy and there's a woman out there who will love him and be lucky to have him. There's no reason we both can't be happy. When commenters tell OOP that there is no way the married man is going to leave his wife for her, she says, he is going to divorce his wife. Unfortunately, divorce is extremely complicated, but he said he will keep me updated. It's not just finances but a lot of other legal stuff. Since I wasn't married yet, it was easy to end things. For him it's a lot more complicated than that. When commenters continue to call OOP gullible, she says, no, I was very clear in our conversation today that I want this figured out by the end of the year. That's plenty of time for him to figure out finances and legal stuff. That way by 2025 we can just focus on each other. Update 4. I realize I treated my fiancé horrible and received my karma. My coworker and his wife are getting a divorce because she found out he was cheating with multiple women. Plural, he's a disgusting animal. He lied to me and others pretending that we were the only ones. I ended things with him. I'm glad he's been exposed. Now, regarding my ex-fiancé, I've taken the time to reflect and realize he's actually my true love. I hate that I hurt him. I reached out again to him, but he said he will always love me, but he's done with me. That was painful to hear. I just can't get over what my coworker did in destroying multiple relationships, including mine. It's painful to see and experience. Edit. I wasn't clear, but I take responsibility for my actions. Just because I'm condemning his disgusting and manipulative behavior doesn't mean I'm justifying my actions. My actions were horrible, but I've learned from them. My love for my husband has been gradually dying since he forced me to choose between an open marriage and divorce. My husband, Leo, 34, and I, 30, have been together for 7 years, married for 4 of them. We don't have any kids and we don't intend to. 2 years ago, Leo asked me for an open marriage. I was devastated at the time. I couldn't understand why he didn't just want me. I couldn't even comprehend the idea of sharing him either. He gave me the same song and dance a lot of men give their spouses, swore up and down that he loved me. I just wasn't fulfilling his needs. He needed more than what I could give. It was just to spice up our life. It was just sex, etc. I did ask if there was someone else. He said no. To this day, I'm still not sure if I believed him. But at the time, I was angry and hurt and said no. He pestered me to change my mind for a week before giving me an ultimatum. Open marriage or divorce. I chose an open marriage. I just couldn't bear the thought of him leaving me at the time. We have rules. We can't bring any partners home. We have to get tested for STD every 3 months. One weekend out of the month must be left free for us time. Any money we spend on with our partners must come from our personal accounts. I didn't partake in the open marriage myself for the first 3 months. Leo obviously did right away. He seemed to be gone or out late almost all the time, but he always acted so happy and loving towards me while I felt like I was dying inside. It killed me to think he was sleeping with other women, and I felt so lonely and unattractive and not good enough. I told my sister, Katie, 26F, and a few close friends everything. Katie told me to just play his game and be part of the open marriage too. If he can sleep around, so could I. I honestly didn't have much confidence in myself at the time. I'm a bit overweight and I've never considered myself conventionally pretty. I was afraid this would just humiliate me further. Katie and my best friend Jessie, 30F, set up my online dating profiles for me. I got so many matches that it was overwhelming. When I told Leo, he was surprised, but told me to do whatever I thought was best. Jessie helped me choose my first date, and I actually had a great time. He didn't pressure me for sex and took me out to drinks and dinner. We did have sex eventually, but it was all just casual and we didn't see each other after a couple months of casual dating. That first guy really made me feel more confident in myself. So I kept going on dates with men. A lot of them wanted to treat me, so I didn't have to spend much of my own money. Not only that, but some of the men have given me the best sex I've ever had in my life. Almost like the kind of sex you read in romance novels. It's been amazing. I am currently seeing 2 different men, alongside Leo. One, Mark, 38M, is more of a steady boyfriend I've been with for about 6 months, and the one, Steven, 25M, is very casual, mostly just hanging out and sex. They know about my open marriage, other relationships, and are fine with it. My husband has not been so lucky. In the beginning, he definitely was. He was always out and about and didn't seem to care even when I started dating too. But now he just complains a lot and hasn't been going out much. He whines about how he's usually the one spending money. A lot of the women he tries to be with want an emotional connection before sex. He often wants to be with younger women, but they want younger men. He's also been upset that I go out with random guys so often while he's at home alone all the time. He hasn't asked to close the marriage yet, but I feel like he will soon. He keeps saying he misses us and wants to spend more time together. He tried to initiate sex a lot more too. He wants to go on dates and go on vacations and all that stuff more and more, and he gets upset when I tell him I can't because I've already scheduled to do stuff with my partners, mostly Mark. Honestly, I don't think I love Leo anymore. I care about him, but I just don't love him. I'm not saying I love Mark or Steven, but I honestly feel closer to Mark nowadays than I do Leo. Mark makes me feel comfortable and safe, and I love spending time with him more than my own husband. Steven is funny and sweet and really good at sex. Katie and Jessie have been wanting me to divorce for a year now, but I was afraid of hurting him and thought I still loved him. But I think my love for him died when he asked for this open marriage in the first place. Seeing him get all pissy about it now just because he's not benefiting from it is also a turnoff for me too. But I don't know if divorce is the best option. I still care about him and I still don't want to hurt him. Maybe if he finally asks to close the marriage, we can talk about it then. Relevant comments. Comment 1, divorce. You're happier without him. He would only want to close the marriage because he can't get laid, not that he only loves you. OP. We've just been together for so long that the idea of him not being there feels weird. Which sounds stupid since I have 2 other partners, so it's not like I'll be lonely. But Leo was a part of my life for so long that for him to not be there just doesn't feel right. But you're probably right. OP on her husband dismissing her feelings regarding the open marriage. OP, I really do think Leo does love me, in his own way. Even when he was more active in the open marriage, he still made time for me and still did a lot with him. For me. But you're probably right on the divorce. Comment 2. Part of the issue is the main relationship is supposed to be the important one, so the whole 1 weekend a month for us time wasn't enough. OP. I actually did argue that in the beginning, but he insisted that he needed to keep his weekends free. He did spend a lot of time at home during the weekdays, so in his mind, that made up for it. Comment 3. What if he finds evidence of your open marriage and frames you as a cheater and then brings you to the cleaners? At this point, I wouldn't trust Leo. What you're experiencing is normalcy. You're used to his presence in your life. But how long are you going to live like this? OP. Jessie had the same train of thought of you and actually took screenshots of his dating profiles during the beginning of the open marriage. She also told me to save screenshots of any texts we had about the open marriage. I don't think Leo would do that, but I also didn't think he'd ever ask for an open marriage, so what do I know? Update 1. Hi everyone. I got so many comments and messages on my last post, which got deleted for some reason, that I was a bit overwhelmed. Especially when a lot of you kept saying the same thing, divorce, divorce, divorce. But the thing is, I think a part of me still loves my husband. I know in my last post that I didn't think I loved him anymore, but I can't just forget about the things that I do love. I love when he sings in the shower. I love when he laughs so hard he snorts. I love when he kisses my forehead when I've had a bad day. I love when he holds my hand when he watch TV together. Leo has done a lot of shitty things, but he really isn't the big asshole people think. Maybe that was my fault. But even if I do still love him, I'm not in love with him anymore. I don't think I have been for a while. I care about him, a part of me does still love him, but you all were right. I should have just divorced him when he gave me that ultimatum in the first place. This past Saturday, we had the big talk. I initiated it, but he didn't seem too surprised. I just told him that I noticed he didn't seem to like me going out with Mark or Steven and asked if there was a problem. He said there was. But he didn't ask me to close the marriage. He just asked me if I still loved him. I said something like, not like I used to. He broke down crying, which made me cry. I guess he had known for a while that I wasn't in love anymore, but he had hoped he could win me back if he funneled all of his energy into me. I was honest and told him that during those first 3 months of our open marriage, I think my love for him died and I just couldn't get it back. I did tell him that I still cared about him and that I did love him, but it's not the same as it was. He asked if I loved Mark or Steven, and I said no. I like being with them and I care about them a lot, but I can't say I'm in love with either of them. I also finally asked him why he wanted the open marriage in the first place. A lot of you in the comments said he already had someone lined up and you were right. He had someone at work he was interested in and she wanted him too. The open marriage was just to get permission. He honestly never expected me to also get my own partners because of how unconfident I was, but he didn't want to stop me either because he thought nothing would come of it. He didn't really like me seeing other men, but he knew it wouldn't have been fair to tell me no when I gave him permission first. I guess Mark and Steven made him insecure because I was spending so much time with them on a regular basis. The open marriage was just sex on the side for him. He only did hookups and they never lasted long. He genuinely always just loved me. But he thought I was falling in love with my partners and he was losing me and wanted to win me back. We cried a lot and talked a lot. We've decided to get a divorce. Since the house is in his name, I'm going to move out and live with Katie for a while. He told me I didn't have to and I could stay until the divorce was finalized, but I just can't. It's too hard to even look at him sometimes. I don't know how I feel, to be honest. I thought I would be relieved or sad, but I'm just tired. I wish I could have been like you all wanted me to be, clapping back or being sarcastic and snarky or rubbing it in his face, but I don't feel like I've won anything. I just feel lost. Relevant comments. Comment 1. I'm wondering if maybe the other woman ended it so now he was back to what he was comfortable with, his wife. He went and had his fun and when that died out, he was not left with a wife waiting for him at home. OP, he and his coworker were only sleeping together for maybe a month. She fulfilled his kinks that I never liked indulging in. That's why he was with most of his partners, because I wasn't interested in his kinks. Comment 2, he stepped out of this marriage first and tried to have his cake and eat it too. The thing with open marriages is that you can never count on how emotions will change. Sex is a very intimate action and many people will develop emotional connections, those connections come at a price. He placed a bet and he lost. At least he's man enough to acknowledge it and own up to it. There is no easy answer. OP, I wish you healing OP. Thank you. Leo just thought the open marriage would be a way for him to get all of his kinks he couldn't do with me, because I wasn't into it. He knew how unconfident I was, which wasn't because of him. A lot of people seem to think that he eroded my self-esteem but he didn't. We can thank my mother for that, but that's a whole other can of worms. So he never expected me to partake in the open marriage either. Comment 3, so he never expected me to partake in the open marriage either. So basically while he asked for a mutually open marriage he expected it to be only his side open and then got hurt that reality didn't meet his expectations. OP, Leo admitted that he did only expect his side to be open. He was never going to stop me from opening my side, but like I said, he didn't think I would. TBH, I don't think I would have either if it wasn't for Jesse and Katie pushing me and making profiles for me. My stepdaughter passed away 4 weeks ago and I caught my husband and his ex-wife together in our bed. My stepdaughter Becca, 14, died 4 weeks ago. I've been in her life since she was 7 years old. We were extremely close. My husband Derek, 40, his ex-wife Sam, 38, and I, 35, get along very well. There has never been an issue in the 7 years that I've been with Derek. Sam has always been kind to me. She didn't even care that Becca called me mom too. Right after Becca's passing, Sam had so much anxiety and depression that she was unable to be by herself. She has no family besides us, so we invited her to stay with us. Sam hardly leaves the house. She mostly just sleeps in Becca's room, which is completely understandable. I always tell her that I'm here if she needs me and that I want her to take her time grieving and that there is no pressure to go back to her home. Today I needed to run some errands, so I asked Sam if she'd like to join me to get out of the house a little bit, but she declined and said she'd rather just stay at the house and sleep. I told Derek that I was leaving and that I would be back in 2-ish hours. He works from home. I also told him to check on Sam every once in a while, and maybe try getting her to eat something. After stopping at the post office, I realized I forgot my library book that I needed to return, so I went back home to get it. As soon as I walked in the door, I heard moaning coming from mine and Derek's bedroom. I immediately knew what was happening. And my heart completely broke at that moment. I wasn't completely sure what to do, but I ended up deciding to confront them, so I walked to the bedroom and opened the door and began yelling at them both. Sam started having an anxiety attack and ran to the bathroom while Derek kept apologizing profusely. I asked him what the hell was happening. He told me that he made himself and Sam some lunch and they began talking about Becca, and shared some memories. And then Sam ended up kissing him and he didn't pull back, and then it ended with them in our bed. They're begging me to understand that it was just grief that caused them to become intimate and that they both made a mistake. I don't know what to do. I love this man. And I love Sam. I'm heartbroken that they did this to me and put me in this position. I feel so stuck. Relevant comments. Comment 1, that would be hard for me. I understand grieving, but how is this excusing cheating? What happens next time he is sad? Edit. I misspoke when I said sad. Obviously this is something beyond devastating. I still don't think it can be used as an excuse. OP, I don't want to excuse his cheating. I think I want to divorce him, but I'm anxious about doing it right after we lost Becca. Comment 2, probably together. Do you both own the home? If it's in your name, change the locks. Stay strong and don't listen to his excuses. I am so sorry this happened to you during such a difficult time. OP, exactly what I was thinking if I'm being honest. And yes, we both own it. When I told him to leave, he kept saying sorry and then said that he would leave and respect me wanting him gone for a while. Comment 3, are you seeing a therapist perhaps? You're dealing with a lot right now, it might be useful. OP, yes, I am in therapy. I've been with my therapist for other things for the last 3 years. She's been very helpful. I saw her yesterday and was able to figure some things out. Update 1, I decided that I'm filing for a divorce. I can't ever trust Derek again. It sucks because we had an amazing relationship, I thought. He's always been great, so this was a complete shock to me. Last night, Derek came over to talk. He confessed a lot. Turns out it wasn't their first time having sex like most people thought. They've been having sex since 3 months before Becca died. I am completely shocked and heartbroken. Sam also reached out last night and thanked me for everything I've done for her, and told me she was sorry. I didn't respond, I blocked her. I did so much for Sam and considered her a friend, so this hurts a lot, more than I can handle. This is all too much. As hard as this is gonna be, I need to leave Derek and cut them both out of my life. I am ready to do so. I am done. Also, some people are saying I deserve this because I should have known better than to let Sam into our home, around Derek. But, you need to understand that I'm a giving person. I trust people more than I should. I truly thought Sam was an amazing person. I know it's unusual to become friends with your husband's ex-wife, but it's just how it went for us and I shouldn't be blamed for what happened. Thank you to everyone who commented nice things and for the kind messages. You've all been helpful during this insanely difficult time. I appreciate it. Relevant comments. Comment, out of curiosity, what are his excuses for cheating? Those two are going to be in a world of hurt once the guilt settles in. They're going to be asking themselves why it had to be Becca and will eventually come to the conclusion that it's their punishment for what they've done to you. I can pretty much guarantee you that. OP, he told me that they just accidentally reconnected one night when I was away at my mom's. He was stressed we weren't conceiving and were having miscarriages, so he vented to Sam, and then somehow that led to sex. It seems so icky to me. How can he vent about our struggles like that and then go and have sex with Sam? It's just awful of him. I don't understand it. Editor's note, remove the first half of the updates as it was a rehash of update #1, updates 2. I'm getting lots of questions about some things, so I figured I'd answer a few of them. Have I told anyone about what happened besides my mom? Yes, I told a few friends and some family members. Most of them are supportive of my decision and aren't speaking to Derek. Where is Derek staying? Currently, he's staying at a hotel. Our friends refuse to let him stay with them. He's lost a lot of people due to his awful decisions. Has he tried fighting me on getting a divorce? Yes, he begged me not to file for divorce, but when I told him I needed him to just let me go and that I was too exhausted to fight him on this, he let it be and agreed to getting a divorce. Why isn't Derek staying with Sam? He told me he didn't want to continue to hurt me, so he told Sam he was done with her for good. And that they have no reason to speak to each other anymore. I have no idea if that'll last and if they'll just end up together, but I truly don't care what they do anymore. I just want peace. What was Derek's excuse for cheating? He told me that they just accidentally reconnected one night when I was away at my mom's. He was stressed we weren't conceiving and were having miscarriages, so he vented to Sam, and then somehow that led to sex. Disgusting of them both, I know. Feel free to ask anything else, and I'll try to answer. Thank you everyone for your support and advice. Relevant comments. OP on what happened to Becca. OP, it was very sudden. She died in a car accident when she was with one of her friends and her friend's parents. OP on her husband's parents being supportive or not, and if they know about his cheating. OP, I get along with Derek's mom very well, but he's also a mama's boy, so it's kinda complicated. She will always be there for him. He'd stay with her if she didn't live across the country. She knows what he did and told me she had a talk with him, but said that he's still her son and she'd help him with anything if he needed it. I'm thinking I need to cut her out of my life too, which makes me really sad because we were close and talked on the phone almost daily. OP on if she has children with her husband. OP, we've had 6 miscarriages total. All of them were in the first trimester. More updates. I just found out that he is staying with Sam and not at the hotel. He told me it's too expensive to stay at a hotel and Sam is the only one that'll help him right now. I had a feeling this would happen. Just knowing that they are still probably sleeping together hurts my heart. I talked to a lawyer this morning and we are proceeding with the divorce and Derek agreed to it. It's actually happening. And I feel some relief that he's not fighting me on this. My mom leaves on Sunday. I'm scared to be alone. But I go back to work on Monday, so I'm hoping it'll be a good distraction. I'll keep updating if anything else happens. Thank you everyone, I am so grateful for you all. Relevant comments. Comment 1, OP, how did you find out he was staying at his ex-wife's place? Anything he says should be taken with a grain of salt. He's not true to his words in going on contact with Sam. OP, he texted me this morning after we talked to lawyers, and said he just wants to be honest with me. I told him to stop giving me updates on what he's doing in his life and that it's not something I need to know. It seems like he wanted to tell me to hurt me. OP on how she is doing. OP, thank you, I'm doing a little better today. My mom and I went on some nature walks and went out into the garden this afternoon, that helped. Becca loved gardening with me, so it made me feel closer to her. I decided to go through some of Becca's stuff today. I just found her diary in a box in the back of her closet. Would it be wrong to read some of it? I feel like it would help me feel closer to her, but part of me feels like it's wrong too. I haven't told Derek that I found it either, and I'm unsure if I should tell him. What would you do? Relevant comments. OP on if she was closer with Becca prior to her sudden passing. OP, Becca and I were very close. It felt like she told me anything and everything, but I honestly think all parents feel that way about their kids, so I'm kinda nervous to read it. Just a little update. I figured it's been a few days, so I should give a little update. My mom is leaving in a couple hours, so I'll be alone. I'm kinda nervous about it. She helped me stay distracted and kept me going. IDK how I'm gonna handle her being gone. I go back to work tomorrow, the first day back since Becca passed away. I'm looking forward to it though because it'll keep me distracted. Also, I did read some of Becca's diary. It made me love her even more, she was such a sweetheart. I went back a few months and saw that she noticed some weird behavior between Derek and Sam, didn't mention that she knew of the affair, but she just wrote that she thought it was kinda strange that they all 3 would hang out more than usual, without me. I might read more, but so far I haven't found anything that's disturbing, just her being a teenager and talking about crushes, fights with friends, happy family memories, etc. Tomorrow I'm also talking to my lawyer, so I might have more updates on that. Thanks for the continuous love and support everyone. Last update for a while. Started randomly getting a lot more messages, comments, so I figured I'd do another little last update. My first week back at work went great. I wasn't expecting it to go so well, but thankfully it did. My coworkers were so helpful and patient with me. On Friday night I decided I didn't want to stay home all weekend alone, so I decided to drive up to my mom's. It helps that I have a 3-day weekend so I can spend more time with her. I'm heading back home tomorrow. Also, for those of you that have messaged me hateful things for reading Becca's diary, I just have to say, you aren't in my shoes right now. Telling me I'm a bad mom because I'm reading her diary is just ridiculous. I learned so much more about her, about how caring and sweet she is, and it made me love her even more. It's how I'm able to feel so close to her right now, so please don't tell me I'm a bad parent for just trying to get by one of the hardest times of my life. You have no idea what it's like. I don't have much of an update, so this will be it. I'll come back and update once the divorce happens though. Thank you to those of you that have been nothing but kind and helpful. You helped me feel less alone. I'll forever be grateful. Sam saw my Reddit post and is threatening to sue me. Sam made a fake FB profile to message me and tell me she wants to sue me for telling strangers about what happened. Derek supports her apparently. I don't need this. Am I not allowed to vent about my life to people online? I just want life to get better. I'm so tired. Fuck you, Sam. Fuck you, Derek. Edit. Sam is in the comments and messaged me on here too. Blocked her. Additional information from OP on the message from Sam. OP, no, I just ignored her. It might be an empty threat just to make my life harder, but I'm unsure. Her message said, so I was scrolling through TikTok and ended up on an account where they read Reddit posts, and guess whose post they read? Yours. First you tell friends and family and then you go to a bunch of strangers and tell them our life story. I can't believe you. It isn't just your business to tell. Becca would be so disappointed in you. Be prepared because I think I'm gonna be suing you for this. This was no one else's business. You did this to yourself, remember that. I'm actually baffled. She thinks Becca would be disappointed in me.